Chapter 1183. Messing with the Wrong Guy. Chapter 1183. Messing with the Wrong Guy. Proofreader, Papatonks. That's because of the art? Luo Yunchang gasped. Zhuo Fan grinned. Yep, this is where those absorbing constantly without moderation get. Young miss, have another look at the piles of bones. He sucked them dry, so much so that the hatred and death festered beneath his skin, so much that his body couldn't take it. He's a spirit king, but with a withered look, he's getting very close to keeling over. The only thing prolonging his miserable existence is doing it over and over again, which also further amplifies the problem. To survive, he has to absorb many more people, leading to more dangerous absorption. This vicious cycle would invoke the wrath of all cultivators. There's no emperor out there who would take such an unnecessary risk. It's like committing social suicide, which is why he would be hated like that patriarch, Liao Tianding, in the past. How do you know so much? The old man looked at Zhuo Fan like he was a monster. Luo Yunchang's brow shook. Liao Tianding, an even more suicidal fool. Zhuo Fan smirked, his face grave. That guy wasn't as subtle as his grandson here in avoiding genocide. He had no qualms about killing scores of people. He was a demon among demons, the first ever to be called a demon king. City after city turned into ghost towns with their only residents being piles of bones. His frozen cultivation also jumped from spirit king all the way to saint, just short of becoming a sovereign. All he missed was a sovereign path. Otherwise, he would have lived forever. Too bad he first became a public enemy, inciting the wrath of the entire sacred domain's dark and white factions. For the first time ever, they joined hands in destroying him. It ended with his death somewhere around Scarlet Lightning Valley. Here, in fact, his clansmen then vanished into thin air, never to be found. Not that it mattered, since this art was something only he knew and it died with him. But by the looks of things, he had passed it on. That's why you're all so sneaky in setting up a town here. The old man's face twitched hard, overwhelmed at having his secret spilled. He pointed a shaky finger at him, stammering, Who the hell are you? How do you know a 10,000-year-long secret? 10,000 years. Zhuo Fan mused. That bastard got me killed around 5,000 years after the Great Battle. I see. So that means that my rebirth through the 9 Serenities secret records took me 5,000 years. The old man roared, having received no answer. Are you? Why do you know? Because I was there as well. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone with malice. The old man gave him a baffling look. No, impossible. Just how old are you? How could a mere bone-tempering cultivator have been in that battle? Geezer, I have to say, your patriarch was insufferably arrogant and died, while you have learned from his lesson and kept your head down. It's a real shame how much you've fallen. You are now in the presence of the head of the 8 emperors in your sword, Emperor Ao Chantian. The old man cried out. Zhuo Fan's face sank. Since when did that old coot take the throne? I am Demonic Emperor. Demonic Emperor Zhao Chun. The old man didn't know restraint, crying over and over and cutting him off. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth. Geriatric fool. Are you even listening? In the battle to hunt Liao Tianding down, that rotten punk hadn't even been born yet. I'm the head of the 8 emperors of that time. Has there ever been a demonic emperor as the head of the 8 emperors? The old man blinked, looking utterly lost. Zhuo Fan's face twitched and sighed. Old man, how old are you? Over 3,000 years. I see, pipsqueak. You truly deserve getting killed. Zhuo Fan laughed. You've only come 2,000 years later, and you've already forgotten my name? That's a death sentence right there. Then again, you ought to die regardless. Being so obscure, so withdrawn from society, with no friends or relatives in the world, no one would even notice your passing. You're practically made to die. That first reason only made it more obvious. Everyone sank in confusion. Zhuo Fan snickered. I'm saying that I'm copying your style and killing all the insignificant targets to replace them. From now on, Joy Town will be the Luo clans, and you will sink into obscurity. What? They all stared blankly, then cracked up. Take our town? Who do you think you are shouting such idiotic dreams as a bone-tempering cultivator? Just because you know some old events You think you can play the senior to intimidate us? Can't you even tell your stage? A bone-tempering cultivator gets 2 centuries at best. Who are you trying to fool by saying you were there 10,000 years ago? Hee, brat, you almost had me with your big talk, but you're now in my trap, and I will suck you dry. Yet you still have a nerve to say you'd take Joytown from us? What a joke. Everyone laughed, looking at Joafan with nothing but scorn. No matter how much of a smooth talker you are, you should never say such idiotic things. Even calling yourself some long-lost third cousin of an emperor's second sister would have been smarter if you wanted to live. At least that would intimidate us enough to get you released. But that brash talk, no one's going to buy that obvious lie. Bam! A sudden explosion rang in their ears, even as they laughed, cutting it short soon after the soul-devouring array had just gone from pristine to total destruction in just a moment. In its place were black flames licking at the edges of. Their smiles got frozen on their faces, and their laughter got stuck in their throats. Their eyes were the only things betraying the fear and shock they felt inside. Joafan's left eye flared with the black thunder flame, his smile insufferable. Sorry, but I'm no comedian. I only know how to follow through with what I say. You're doomed. Joafan flicked his hand, and a black wave shot into the sky, followed by a loud explosion and a shower of black flames. Terrible energies drew near the town folk, enclosing them and the sinister town beneath the joyful facade. A spirit king. The old man gasped, his mouth trembling. 1320? How in the hell did so many of them come here? Who have we messed with? Sensing all those raging energy signatures, and none of them on his side, the old man was in despair, with the other struck with dread. Just what emperor had they irked to send so many spirit kings to their little town? Mommy, who the hell are they? Is this an entrapment? The old man was a wreck inside, howling. Everyone run. We can't take them, just run. A boom cut him off, and the sky above roiled with black flames. Fong Ding and all other town folk got reduced to ashes. The old man shook all over, turning a stiff head at Joafan, to see him smirking, flooding the space with your power and controlling it. You're a spirit king as well? You got that right. Joafan grinned, raising his hand and shouting, die. The old man gnashed his teeth, roaring, I'm a peak spirit king. You won't kill me by being in the same stage as me. Thousand soul possession. Wraiths howled, and the air grew cold as they flouted into existence. Despite having the space under his control, the wraiths still appeared. They didn't get to survive for long. As the black flames burned them down to nothing a second later, the old man was dumbstruck. What the hell is this? I'm at peak Sword King stage, so why on earth are my actions so damn useless? Geezer, you may be higher in cultivation than me, but I trump you in quality. Ha-ha. Joafan grasped, and black flames howled on the old man's side, slamming into him and covering him completely. His mournful cries, filled with pain and horror, rent the sky as he twisted in futile attempt at survival. His eyes, however, contained nothing but confusion as he roared in defiance. Just who the hell are you? The head of the 8 emperors 5,000 years ago, demonic emperor Zhui Yifan. Joafan's eyes shone. Now the Luo clan steward, Joafan. You should be honored for dying at my hand. With one last cry, whether in regret and defiance, or maybe even fear, the old man breathed his last, and his existence burned from this world. Chapter 1184, Another Change. Chapter 1184, Another Change. Proofreader, Papatonks. Roar. Draconic roars littered the sky as Danxing Shun brought the few Luo clan's spirit kings from the north side of town, killing their way in. The dragon and sword energies flared unrestrained and took down all people that tried fleeing this disaster from the south side. Bali Yu turned into a demon, spreading death and destruction with a rain of swords. Murong Lai was in the east, standing guard and unleashing hell with his flames. Ouyang Lingtian came in from the west like an ice wall, freezing anyone that tried getting out and turning them into crystallized works of art as howls and cries of agony resounded. The town's population was purged with the closing of the net. By the time the mortal domain residents entered the town proper, There was nothing but blood and body parts all over. Murong Shui felt it unbearable and searched for Zhuofan. Are these people as bad as you thought? Are their crimes so heinous? Ask her. Zhuofan shrugged and walked to the others, shouting, "Clean up the place. It will be our home for a while." The men cheered and started working. Murong Shui turned to Luo Yunchang. Having more pressing concerns, like morality, Luo Yunchang gave her a smile as she explained what happened. Only then did the woman's worries ease. The town's cesspool of pointless killing. Like the saying went, evil beget evil. Though imps had no chance of fighting against the likes of a demonic emperor, Murong Shui turned to watch Zhuofan, giving orders with a smile. This demon was right. He's only going after those that deserve it. The housing was distributed according to each individual's strength, placing the Luo clan's leadership and the Spirit Kings in the manner. They just had to touch it up a bit first, like putting up the Luo clan signboard, marking as official the switch from the Liao clan's town to the Luo clan. Zhuofan found a few hidden arrays and other secret tunnels, quite convenient in fact, such that he didn't need to make any new ones. So after he handled the basic organization, he went into seclusion. It was not to cultivate, but to fulfill the dear wish of his trusty guardian Ding. The demonic sword made its appearance in a shower of black light as Zhuofan worked on setting up a refining array. It hovered about, shaking with excitement, and entering the center before Zhuofan's even said anything. Zhuofan chuckled. "Blood spirit, you were supposed to be my vital blood infant, and I only let you inside the vaulting sword to keep its nature. I'm also curious to see if I can do the impossible and combine the 5 divine swords said to never be melded as one. Even if not a sovereign weapon, the union of the 5 sword arts are best suited for me. I should be the one getting excited here. So why are you so eager then? You didn't look to have gotten much out of the combination of the first 4. Ding! The sword rang, its patience non-existent as it urged him, Fine, fine. Let's see what tricks you can do. But let me warn you, you better hang tight as the apocalyptic thunder flame burns you again. It won't be pretty, though." Zhuofan smiled. The demonic sword swayed in excitement. Smirking, Zhuofan made the signs to start the array. Sword spirit renewal. 5 become 1 as a sacred weapon ascends to give birth to a sovereign weapon. Who? Zhuofan's left, I released black flames, melding with the array. The air around the array warped as the black thunder flames covered it completely. The demonic sword was being cooked under the ravaging flames, shaking now and then. It was good that it couldn't speak, or the room would have been echoing with its screams of torment. Zhuofan held out the sundering sword, now without a sword spirit, and threw it in. Crackling sounded as the demonic sword and the sundering sword melted and slowly fused. Demon transformation art. Zhuofan shouted and released a flood of black energy into the array. The black smoke engulfed the crackling flames, and as the last wave of black smoke came, it enveloped the 2 swords in darkness. The array turned into a black cocoon, with black energy swirling around its outer layer as explosions of thunder and flames echoed from within. Taking a deep breath, Zhuofan observed every little change in the array, his heart tense. He had never heard of a sovereign weapon even existing or anyone attempting to refine one. Although he was piggybacking on Sword Sovereign's 5 sacred weapons, he lacked an ounce of confidence. I just can't tell what will become of the fusion of the 5 sacred weapons. Will it be as before, just adding another sword, or will it go through a change? Uniting 5 sword arts has to be at the level of Sword Sovereign's sword path, right? I'm really looking forward to it. Zhuofan stared hard at the writhing ball of darkness, pacing around and sweating out of anxiety. Time slipped away, and flashes kept coming from within. Only about 8 hours later did they show signs of growing weaker. The flames were strong still, though. While the sword was nowhere in sight, the only reason he knew it was still there was because Zhuofan's life was connected to the blood infant. After much hesitation, Zhuofan reached out, hoping to peer inside. But what if the fusing is at a critical point and my interference would ruin it? So Zhuofan halted, pushing down his curiosity, and waited. It took 3 whole days before Zhuofan ran out of patience. With the ball showing no obvious sign of stopping in the meantime, just as he was about to stop the array, the black ball gave a mighty shudder and cause the ground to do the same. Zhuofan almost fell boom. Even the sky started rumbling and warped, with some strange cloud forming, as if in a frown plop. In the 7 sacred mountains, an old man with white beard was perusing a script in a refined pavilion. The world then shook around him. The peak itself as well, and the sky showed multicolored clouds. Everyone cried out, "Why is this happening again? Didn't this end with the one 100 years ago? We didn't even get to understand that, and now another is coming? This is different from the last." The old man floated and turned to the others. "Look, a century ago we couldn't even use our cultivation, unlike now." "Oh, that's right." The other elders floated at once and could finally stand upright. But the sky's changes had them confused. It's unlike last time, but still quite similar. Pop! In a small bamboo house, a chess piece landed on the board as he turned to look at the sky outside. After so many years, someone challenging the sovereign stage appeared. "Who?" Another man spoke in a rough voice. "Do you remember the one who has the highest chance of dragging down a sovereign? Patriarch Blood Demon. He had a shot, but not his own path, and was unable to advance. No matter how strong, he was still no match for a sovereign. Only, Another piece fell on the board and the man said, "It can't be said the same about his blood infant." A spirit. Yes, spirits are born in this world, within the scope of the 10 paths, with none having its own true path, yet having the chance of forming a sovereign path. Once one has this, one can gamble with a sovereign. If the blood infant stood independent, that's not possible. It would just let their vital blood infant fly free. The other man denied it. The first man lay another piece and sneered. Yes, one can't gain without giving up first. This was a reason why that old man could never match a sovereign. But that's in the past. There's no sovereign path appearing, yet the change is still here, showing that someone out there has the potential. I wonder who. Is it one of his friends he brought along, perhaps? Ha ha ha, how amusing. The mortal domain is filled with talent. The more barren a place is, the more miracles it enjoys. Chapter 1185, Apocalyptic Swordchild. Chapter 1185, Apocalyptic Swordchild. Proofreader, Papatonks. Boom. The shaking kept up for 6 hours from his room. Zhuofan had no way to see the changing skies, looking startled as he stared at the black ball. Afraid of doing anything and ruining it all, the black ball began hissing and shrunk down to just half a meter in size, revealing a strange shape that made Zhuofan tense. As the ball shrank even more, the shape became clearer. Zhuofan's eyes jumped wider as the black ball vanished. What was revealed was a thin 7-year-old child with a darker skin tone dressed in pitch-black robes. The ball shrank only because he was absorbing it. Zhuofan was struck dumb. "Master." The child was so sharp that he kneeled and cupped his hand. Zhuofan's eyebrow jumped, staring hard at him. "Master? Then you're my vital blood infant?" "Yes. Thank you so much, Master, for giving me such a strong body and offering me a vessel." The kid grinned and said in gratitude, "After the 5 sacred weapons combined, I became a sovereign weapon, and sovereign weapons can take human form. This is the reason behind my appearance. I shall never forget your grace and favor for as long as I live." The child kowtowed 3 times, still out of it. Zhuofan mumbled to himself before snapping out of it. "A sovereign weapon taking human form, which means that you, as its sword spirit, are now this body's soul. I see. So that's why you were so eager to combine with the last sword. It was a way for you to become human." The child scratched his head, laughing at being found out. "To be honest, Master, humans are the ultimate beings of the world. All spirits aspire to take human form, to live as they do, to dance, laugh, speak, and create. However, becoming human is fraught with dangers and perils, doubly so for spirits who are less sentient than even common spiritual beasts. I was fortunate enough that Master gathered the 5 sacred weapons and merged them, thereby creating a sovereign weapon and giving me the means to become human. I have you to thank for all of this, Master." The child kowtowed again, filled with gratitude. Zhuofan pondered and then sighed. "My vital blood infant you were once, but now we've grown apart like our ties have been cut. No wonder you no longer need me to survive, as you now have a sovereign weapon for a vessel. Master, you have built me this body, making you my parent. How could I ever abandon you? Reading between the lines, the child puffed up his chest as he declared, Henceforth, I am your sword, guarding you and never leaving you, just like old times. The only difference is that I can now exchange actual words with Master. The child shone and turned into a pitch-black sword, floating towards Zhuo Fan as it glittered. Unlike its previous form, when it had a trace from every sword, all signs of the other swords were removed by adding the fifth one. Zhuo Fan paused before growing solemn. You have your own body, and your fate is yours to decide. You have finally gained freedom after following me for so many years. Are you content with never wandering the great world outside? Just tell me the truth. We've been so close for so long, so I won't make it hard for you. Master, your cold treatment is because you don't believe me, or that you don't believe yourself. Whoosh! The demonic sword turned back into a child, his gaze firm. Zhuo Fan paused and found it to be the same look he had. I am Master's vital blood infant, and never had a sense of self, my survival depending on Master. Only with time have I gained a personality within you, Master. That means all my habits and quirks have come from you, even your heart. I am another Master, while you are yourself. If Master owes no favor, does that mean I do? Master is giving his all to help the Luo clan, and I will give my all to be at your side every step of the way. Nothing more, nothing less. Zhuo Fan jerked, giving him a long look. Everything this child knows comes from me. He's like another me. I am never one to be an ingrate, and neither is he. He is a replica of my own personality, so what's there to doubt? He ceased to be my blood infant, but became my strongest companion, a loyal guardian sword. Zhuo Fan smiled. Then you will be my sword child, guarding my side. Yes, Master. Sword child nodded with a bright smile. Zhuo Fan nodded, then paused, giving him an odd look. Sword child, would you still be loyal to me, even with all the heinous and treacherous acts I'll be doing? Oh, that, like I said, I learned everything from you, and I'm just like you. You betray, then I betray. Or maybe, even if you might not let me go, I'll just off you and go my way. Then I'll do the same as you, resort to heinous acts to get what I want. It's that simple. SSS. Zhuo Fan gasped, his heart shuddering. Then he patted his chest. All right, at least I'm a man of principle and won't stoop so low and wallow in filth. Or I wouldn't just be losing a divine sword, but gaining a powerful enemy. Zhuo Fan walked out, his thoughts racing, trying to recall if he had ever betrayed himself. The kid better not have copied that as well and treat me the same. Talk about getting what I deserve. Sword Child beamed behind him. Though he was a little restless, Sword Child, how is your strength? Before refining, I've been growing alongside you. If you got stronger, so did I. Therefore, I'm a mid-stage spirit king like you. Oh, then do you know any special skills? Don't tell me you know all of mine as well. No, I can't use Divine Eye of the Void, nor the Apocalyptic Thunderflame, though I took all of the 5 arts you comprehended and combined them into a 6th. 6. The Apocalyptic Sword Art. Zhuo Fan talked while walking. I need to be cautious, not only against enemies, but also taking precautions with myself. It's a must. The two left their room and met with the Luo clan's higher-ups waiting at the door. Seeing Zhuo Fan come out with someone half his size left them stunned. Hasn't he been in there for 3 days? Why is there a child by his side? Did he make him himself? That's no laughing matter. Like 3 days are enough to bring a child into the world. It takes 10 months at the least. Knock it off. You think that's the problem? How a man birthed a child that grew up so fast. Maybe there's a hidden tunnel in his room through which the kid sneaked in? Not possible. I've been on guard every minute on the hour ever since Steward Zhuo entered seclusion. There's not a fly going past me without my knowing, let alone a child. Everyone started a heated debate over this very crucial topic. Zhuo Fan snickered. What are you all doing here? Did something happen? Steward Zhuo. The world started shaking and the sky changed colors. We came to see if you were fine. Li Jingtian bowed. Zhuo Fan waved his concern away. I'm fine, so you can return. Our cultivation has been soaring recently and needs time to stabilize. After that, we have big things ahead of us. We know. They all nodded, with no plan on leaving, their curious eyes glued to Sword Child. Catching on to their obvious curiosity, he made the introduction. He's my personal guard, the apocalyptic Sword Child. Personal guard? They all started. Steward Joie, you need a guard at your level? That means he can't be too far behind your strength. A pipsqueak. Yeah, Dad. If you really wanted one, pick me instead. Gu Santong gave Joifan an odd look. Bang. Joifan knocked on his head, chiding, You dare say that about others? Which 6-year-old? I wonder, lorded about in Tianyu like he owned it. How is that the same? I'm a Qilin. Gu Santong puffed up his chest in pride. Pa. A dark and thin palm landed on his shoulder. Young Master San, a spar will make everything clearer. Ha ha ha. Gu Santong shook, meeting a pair of black eyes and an evil smirk. Mommy, he has the same look as Dad. Is he some long-lost son out of wedlock? Gu Santong jumped in fright. Chapter 1186, Qilin vs. Sovereign Weapon. Chapter 1186, Qilin vs. Sovereign Weapon. Proofreader, Papatonks. Place your bets. No takebacks. The Joy Town that had been bathed in blood was once again filled with noise. Only this time, it happened 100 miles outside of it. In a valley, Chiu Yanhai even had a stall set up as he shouted, We're all friends here, people, so don't be shy and place your bets to make this place livelier. Our young master, San, has a 1 to 3 odds, and on the other side we have Steward Joie's secret guard, the apocalyptic Sword Child, 1 to 5 odds. All bets are now open. People already gathered around and started taking out all their valuables. The stall was packed with pills, spiritual weapons, and all kinds of super rare ingredients with a bang. A large scarlet wine jar creaked the stall's boards. Everyone knew then and there who was the weirdo behind such an exotic bet. Chiu Yanhai's face twitched, turning to the wine sword immortal's red nose. Senior, while I did say there's no limit to make it livelier, but you can't just take out some jar of wine? That's like 10 spirit stones, tops. You call this 10 spirit stones? What you see right here is an aged and fine wine of the Moron clan. I made the trip to their home just to get it before coming with you all. It's always on high demand. The only reason I'm willing to part with such a great wine is seeing you all so fired up. Wine Sword Immortal patronized Chiu. Yanhai shook his head. Fine, I'll write down 10 sacred stones on account of your seniority. Now who will you be betting on? Isn't it obvious? Steward Joie's young Master San. The Wine Sword Immortal chuckled. With all the action going on so far, everyone knows of Gu Santong's strength, no less than ours. And since we've gotten to the sacred domain, everyone reached the Spirit King stage while his power had to have improved as well. As for that Sword Child, he doesn't look like much, so I'd rather be on the safe side and stick with young Master San. Everyone nodded in approval. Rather than taking a risk on an unknown fighter, they'd play it safe by betting on Gu Santong, a zither, then slammed on the stall, followed by casual voice. I'm betting on Sword Child. Lumubai, the Wine Sword Immortal, gave him an odd look. You know his strength to bet on him? Lumubai snickered as he shook his head. Nope, but for Joifan to make him a personal guard, that should be proof enough, right? In fact, I find young Master Sin awfully rash for taking on his challenge just like that. Knowing the enemy is what gets you victory. While he is an open book, the opponent is sealed shut. That's why the Sword Child has a higher chance at winning. Makes sense. Exactly what I'd expect from the Zither Sword King who bid his time to exact revenge for his clan, calculative and observant. The others lit up and switched their bets from Gu Santong to the Sword Child. The Wine Sword Immortal licked his dried lips as he moved his wine jars. Well, Lumubai, I'll trust you on this, but you better pay me back if I lose. Sure, and my zither is also among those bets. Haha. Lumubai didn't mind it. Looking at the fighters on their peaks with a smile, ever since the Empire fell, he had felt so relieved having his wish granted, and also brighter in his demeanor on the side where there was constant cheering. Joifan, Luo Yunhai, and the rest were standing on a hill and watching the two filled with battle. Lust Luo Yunhai said, Big brother, who is the Sword Child? Can he take on young Sanzi? He should, Zhua Fan said. Young Sanzi became an early-stage spirit king after coming to the sacred domain, but the sword child is my demonic sword transformed with half my skills. In fact, he should have all my skills besides my eyes. He shouldn't lose out against young Sanzi. What? They all shouted. He's that divine sword. Sure is, and precisely because he's not human, but a spirit in a sword, we can't see his cultivation. Zhua Fan nodded. In his words, he's the same as me, a mid-stage spirit king. As for his strength, we'll just have to wait and see. Letting young Sanzi fight is the perfect chance. The others nodded, with Xiaoer sadly staring at Gu Santong. Brother, do be careful. The kid is father's sword and not human. In a fight between a divine sword and sacred beast, victory might not be so easy. Gu Santong was totally in the dark about his opponent's nature, judging him by his young appearance, that he was still too young. If he's a sacred beast, his form means he's not matured yet. If he's a human, then that makes him weak as a lamb. So he boasted, Kid, we're on the same side, so I'll give you the chance to walk away. I won't judge you for it, nor make it hard on you, for father. Young Sanzi, you're as cocky as ever. The sword child smirked. Even as a sacred beast, you're now in sacred domain and only an adolescent. There are plenty of people that can kill you. I'll just help father by giving you a fair warning, so the next time you go out, you'll be a bit cautious and not lose your life. Gu Santong shook, giving him an odd look. Is he really Dad's son? His tone, his style, his arrogance, they're practically the same. All the others gave Zhua Fan strange looks. Steward Zhua, that's a miniature version of you, in child form. Zhua Fan smiled. The sword child had taken everything from me, resembling me more than a son. Gu Santong saw no reaction from Zhua Fan and made up his mind. It doesn't look like the kid is close to Dad, and I can set him straight. He put on a mean face and smirked. I could accept it coming from Dad, but from a pipsqueak? It sounds more like a taunt. We'll see who beats who soon enough. Gu Santong shot forth, and his fist glowed scarlet as he struck at Sword Child. Though it was obvious there was some restraint, leaving a third of his strength behind. Though Gu Santong still thought it excessive and brought it down to just half his strength, young Master San, just let loose and come at me with everything. I can easily take it. The Sword Child smirked, his eyes set as a red glow shot from his finger and at Gu Santong's fist whoosh. A sword wave soared, it clashed with Gu Santong's first, letting out a deafening boom. Gu Santong shuddered all over and got pushed back 100 meters. His gaze now horrified as he turned to Sword Child, soaring sword art, and at peak strength? How do you have such power? Only Dad can unleash it to this level. He inherited Steward Zhua's sword skills fully, worthy of being his sword. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes shook in admiration. Zhua Fan grinned. He was connected with me, body and mind till now. It's normal to know the 5 sword arts. And for what he told me, he also learned a 6th one. Now that's something I'd like to see. 6. Shangguan Feixiong and the others nodded. Right, with Steward Zhua learning the sword arts to the peak, his divine sword spirit has to be even sharper, able to combine the 5 arts. Now I'm also looking forward to seeing it, ha ha ha. They all laughed, looking eager as the battle unfolded at the betting stall. All those who were about to bet on Gu Santong shifted to the other guy. Xiao Yanhai cursed. What do you think you're doing? Have you no ethics? Saying you'd take it and leave it, but now that young Master San is lacking, you switch tunes? Fat chance. Damn it. I only lost that exchange, and now they've all lost their faith in me? How mortifying. I got out my game. Gu Santong's face twitched hearing Elder Chio's shouts, anger getting to him as he shot for Sword Child. Lousy brat. I was going easy on you, but no more. Get ready, huh? Gu Santong's hand shook and struck at the air boom. It felt like the world was collapsing as the air warped from all the shaking. It got so strong. Black scars appeared in space, spreading fast towards the Sword Child. The cracking sound jarring to the ears, the audience gasped. The space fractured. Doesn't that mean letting a scar touch you would tear you to pieces? This is too much. Gu Santong's past attempt with this move only warped the air. Now, though, He was at the Spirit King level and could warp space. Space was the place where everything existed. By rupturing it, then the space being occupied would be torn to shreds. Steward Joie, it's turning deadly. Everyone turned to Joie. He was still just looking with a smile. The kid ain't human, making no difference even if the sky got torn apart. The others exclaimed, but of course, he's a divine sword. The space rupturing won't affect him. Chapter 1187, Fatality. Chapter 1187, Fatality. Proofreader, Papatonks. Condense. The spatial crack struck at the sword child like a viper. The blackness therein promising to swallow him whole. Sword child couldn't care less, evident by his smirk, as he shouted and flicked his hand. A cold wind blew, and the encroaching scars slowly lost their speed until they froze in place, with a trace of ice even revealed on them. Gu Santong gasped. Heaven's sealing sword art. Ha! Yes, I am Master Sword. Any sword art he knows, I know. That's why, young Master San, feel free to come at me with everything. The sword child smiled, finally going for Gu Santong. He waved a finger, and flames exploded into an inferno. The black gaps in space merged with the flames and slowly healed. With the path clear between the two, the sword child had an easy time shooting for Gu Santong's face. To poke him with a crackling finger, Gu Santong's face twitched and stepped back while using his fist to defend. Decimating sword art and sundering sword art. How is it you know all my dad's 5 sword arts to perfection? No son could ever do so much. Who are you? I told you I'm Master Sword. Bam! Gu Santong unleashed his full power at long last, his fist sending a scarlet wave that struck at the purple thunder sword wave. The intense clash had crushed 40 mountains around the area to dust. Gu Santong shuddered. Forced to step back from the aftermath, the sword child laughed as the shock wave came, pointing at Gu Santong. I am a divine sword in body, not of flesh and blood. I don't fear my insides getting jolted, not when I haven't got any. That's where a sacred beast differs from me. Vaulting sword, dragon soar. With a draconic cry, the sword child pressed his advantage, sending another sword wave with his finger. This time, Gu Santong barely got himself steady to brace for impact. All he could do, in the end, was punch back. Bam. Gu Santong's hasty punch lacked his full power and was once again pushed back. The sword child smiled, standing still. Most cultivators would try to settle the rattling inside them before the damage mounts instead of unleashing strikes so fast. I don't have such a problem. I could hound you and kill you in just 10 moves, all while you couldn't even defend. The outcome is clear, and there's no point of fighting. What a deadly sword. The audience gasped in shock. Steward Joie, a humanoid divine sword, is so dangerous, bereft of weaknesses. His body is even stronger than a sacred beast. Unheard of. Joie nodded. Yeah, even I didn't think young Sanzi would lose so fast. That's why the sword child was so thankful for me, refining him such a body. As a divine sword, it's truly godlike. I wonder if there's anything out there that can hold him back. Joie mused. He has everything I have, except for the eyes. Everyone was grave. The sword child is simply monstrous. But what if he turns on us? He called himself Joie Sword, but that was a weapon in the end, one that had no will but to follow its master's intent. But with the kid, as he is, Steward Joie, he's got your smugness to a T. Lung Wuchang pointed out, though he looks rather young, and youngsters tend to have overblown egos. Joie nodded. Yes, he's just like me. Only that in my early years I was restrained, more ruthless than brash. He has no constraints, and while he is a second me, we will most likely walk different paths, and he needs someone to watch over him. Brilliant, Steward Joie. Lung Wuchang nodded. Joie's eyes turned frosty as he observed the fight. Gu Santong was a powder keg ready to pop from being pushed around so much. He roared then, and, in a flash of red, the image of a 300-meter Qilin appeared overhead. Its roar shaking the world, the Spirit Kings felt their hearts seize from shock. Young Master, Sin wants to go all out, making everything shake. Can a sword child take it? I'll just bet this wine jar on young Master San. Wine Sword Immortal got shocked as well and switched his bet again. with many others following him. Only Lu Mu Bai and a few others were relaxed. Wine Sword Immortal. You're going to be sorry. Check out the Sword Child's look. Wine Sword Immortal turned and only now noticed that despite Gu Santong raging and roaring, the Sword Child held nothing but disdain in his eyes. Young Master San, since you don't know a helping hand when you see one, you leave me no choice. The Sword Child's eyes shone and raised a finger. A black power gathered. You went all out, so you should have a look at my sick sword art. Apocalyptic sword strength. The prideful Gu Santong's eyes shook, unable to take the other's naked taunt. He roared and his power surged before he punched with both fists. Lousy brat, have a taste of this upheaval, a soaring Chilin's might. The piercing howl rang in everyone's ears as the Chilin image opened its maw. It then shot for the Sword Child with fury burning in its eyes, ready to burn the world if it had to come on. The Sword Child snickered, the black sword wave ready as he struck Hu. It was anticlimactic how plain it was launched, with no fuss, like a breeze tracing the air. The sword wave, however, erased everything in its path, even the dust. From existence, the sword wave looked flimsy by all accounts. Yet it struck fear in the hearts of all who watched. It was not total destruction and explosiveness that was scary, but the silent yet decimating moves that could take lives without leaving a sign. Zhuofan was out for 2 seconds before he came to and understood the gap between the fighters. Sword Child, stop this right now. Too little, too late. The black sword wave reached young Sanzi's Chilin image, but there was no bang, not even a fizzle. The black wave passed through the image, making it pause before fading away. Purged from this world, young Sanzi coughed blood at the backlash, looking pale, but the black wave was coming with death behind it. Young Sanzi panicked. Everyone panicked. This is fatality. Sword Child, didn't you hear me? I told you to stop. Zhuofan shouted in anger. Sword Child's brow shook and gave a cruel smile at the panicked face, with no intention of stopping him. The space started warping then. With the Sword Child at its center, he looked back at Zhuofan with a frown, only to see his cold gaze and the 7 golden halos in his right eye. Master, don't. Divine Eye of the Void, 7th stage, Void Seal. Zhuofan muttered whoosh. The space contracted, and the Sword Child shook as his eyes went blank and collapsed. He turned back into the pitch-black sword. With a dim glow, it showed no signs of being alive. The black sword wave coming at Gu Santong faded away, just in time as well, making him breathe easier for having escaped with his life. That strike is deadly, no less than Dad's apocalyptic thunderflame. Chapter 1188, Advancing Again. Chapter 1188, Advancing Again. Proofreader, Papatonks. Thump. Zhuofan walked over to the apocalyptic sword and picked it up with a sigh. You really are me, but only the young me, twisted, conceited, and obnoxious. Ha ha ha. Foolish boy, you thought by having a sovereign weapon body I couldn't take you on? The 5 divine swords were affected by the divine Eye of the Void, and this form isn't any different. Think long and hard about this. Zhuofan made a seal, and the demonic sword entered his body. And you, young Sanzi, there's always someone better than you out there. This will be your lesson. Zhuofan walked to Gu Santong and warned. Gu Santong hung his head, giving a heavy nod. I know, Dad. I won't be as arrogant again. You've said that 100 times already. Why would I believe you this time? Ha ha ha. You'll learn the more you suffer. Zhuofan shook his head. The others came over and bowed. Steward Zhua, how will you handle the Sword Child? He's a loose cannon. I'll handle it, don't worry. Zhuofan soothed their fears. With these few days of peace, we found a temporary residence in the sacred domain. To grow bigger, however, we must first take down one of the 8 emperors. That being said, I'll be setting out to get a feel of the sacred domain's current situation to remove all unknowns. Wait for my message and be ready to move. Won't it be too dangerous to go alone? Yeah, I'll come with you. Luo Yinchang spoke up, with Bali Yu stepping forward. Zhuofan calmed them down. It's fine. The sacred domain is my world. I know it better than any of you. I have enough strength to survive even an encounter with an emperor. Rest assured that I'll be all right. Shuang'er, come over for a minute. Zhua Fan called Yun Shuang to remain after the others were now at ease, and whispered, "Did you finish what I asked you to do? Did you divine her location?" Yun Shuang's brow shook. "For some reason, I am blind to Sister Qingqing's fate, just like yours. Patriarch said that you lost something. Did you give it to her? Can it hide one's fate?" "The sovereign path." Zhua Fan squinted and asked ardently, "How else am I supposed to find her? Where do I start searching the big sacred domain without so much as a clue?" Shuanger bit her lip. "Forgive me for being unable to help, but what? You alone can find her." "Me? Yeah, I know nothing of reading the stars. Didn't Patriarch give you something? It will guide you towards what or who you want to find." Slightly explained, Patriarch also mentioned that what you're looking for is yours. The two of you would be drawn to each other. By using the item, you'll find it in Sister Qingqing. Zhua Fan thought for a bit and nodded. "I see. Sovereign Yin gave me the black sphere for this purpose. But how do I use it?" "Figure it out yourself. I surely don't know." Yun Shuang shrugged. Zhua Fan's side and nodded, his eyes blazing with determination. "I'll try it as I go. Now I need to get away, so the fear of the sword child caused will fade. I must also teach that boy some manners." Zhua Fan cupped his hands to her and the rest. Leaving the others gave him a respectful goodbye as well, while only a red-nosed old man just wouldn't let go a jar of wine, crying like his parents were dead. Like an old woman, "My precious wine, I could never leave you. How could my foolproof mind ever conceive the risk of betting on Gu Santong? Senior, betting is business. You made the wrong wager, so I can't help you. Now let go." The wine sword immortal wailed like a child, while Chiu Yinhai fought to try and pry the drunkard's fingers from the jar. With their gap in cultivation, no amount of effort helped in the end. Zhua Fan's face twitched and gave the two geezers a long look. What was I thinking bringing these fools? Zhua Fan left as the rest sent him off. After a good distance, he looked around and found a deserted cave, setting up an array to hide himself as he took out Sovereign Yun's black orb. Looking into the sacred domain situation was more of a whim. While finding Chu Qingsheng was his real goal, he couldn't have said that to the guys, since they came with him to a new world to settle down, not help him find his woman. How could their de facto leader ever do such a petty and irresponsible thing? When they found out he was up to no good, going on a hike, they might just as well go out and meet their fortune elsewhere. A remarkable leader had to, at all times, inspire fairness and grandeur. As for looking after my family and other private stuff that goes behind doors, taking out the black orb, Zhua Fan stared hard. "Qingsheng, where are you? And how do you start this thing anyway? Sovereign Yin, what a guy, giving me the tools but not the manual. Where do I even start?" Zhua Fan whined as he stared deep into the orb. His gaze grew hazy, and the darkness inside the orb swirled, pulling him in who? Zhua Fan shuddered, and his eyes went black. He plopped on the ground with eyes wide open, coming to his senses the next moment, only to find himself surrounded by stars in a black space. Stars flew by him, so close, he could reach them with his hands. Where am I? What am I doing here? Zhua Fan jerked around, and then recalled. Sovereign Yun's place was the same. My mind must have entered the orb. Is this how you use the treasure? But how am I supposed to find her now? Zhua Fan frowned, looking up at the glittering stars in doubt, while he paced around in thought. Yun Clan's holy maiden can read the heavens through the stars. Sovereign Yun reads mortals' fate through the stars as well. Maybe to find Qingqing, I have to understand the stars' motions. Should I go to Shuanger for tips? But it looks more like a trait than an art. Yin Clan's leader is the only one able to do it. What to do? Zhua Fan stared at the sky. In a dilemma, his face began slacking as he took in the stars' glows. Noticing something peculiar, "Kid, humans are the ultimate beings of the world, the basic of all other things. Humans hold 360 small cosmoses within that work in tune with the universe. Each person has a protector star. When you observe the skies, you are in fact looking at their fate. Your eyes do not see the starry night sky, but the universe's cycle of reincarnation. To find what you seek, use your heart and you will grasp it." An aged voice whispered in his ears, making his heart jump and focus harder on the stars. Zhua Fan stared blankly. ignoring everything, time itself, as he gazed upon the stars and their movements. His yuan shi began moving along with the stars in strange and baffling patterns. At one point, he realized the stars melded with him. Looking at the stars was like looking at his body's innards. The flow of blood, breathing, all made his organs shake, understanding it all. I want to find Ching Chung. As he grasped everything, his heart throbbed, and the stars followed his wish. His senses perceived as the brightest 9 stars formed a line, shooting eastward 9 stars in a row, deceiving the heavens and changing fate, hidden from a sovereign's power. She's in the east. Zhuo Fan lit up and shook awake. He got up and found the black orb at his side, putting away. Zhuo Fan was in high spirits as he shot out of the cave. He noticed it was dark then, with the stars in the sky being the same ones he saw in the orb, and the brightest 9 forming a line. Was it the black orb affecting the stars, or did they reflect what was in the black orb? Or maybe Zhuo Fan was controlling them. Confused, Zhuo Fan fell stunned. Hot damn, I advanced again. I'm now a late-stage spirit king. What's more important was that his surface cultivation level had dropped to the first layer of bone tempering stage. My heart grew once more. Chapter 1189, The Ruby Cloud Sect. Chapter 1189, The Ruby Cloud Sect. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. Beneath the sunny and clear sky, Zhuo Fan darted across the land, his eyes holding a strange light as he used the stars to be his guide. Glancing at the sky, he squinted and smiled. He was getting close to the last of 9 stars' position, close to the one he wished to see. Zhuo Fan got excited. Ever since he saw the stars inside the black orb, he felt odd, like there was something connecting him with every little thing in the world. He could even see the stars in broad daylight. Senior sister, Master had us take the purple gold glaze cup and meet up with Senior Ant's group in Miss City for a treasure competition to make sure we get our hands on the map to the Nether Sea. But I just don't feel right leaving Junior sister behind all by herself. And why not? That dumb girl is as plain of talent as she is of strength. Not just I, but even all of you are stronger than her. What's the point in bringing a dead weight? She's just relying on Master's favor to come along and get a share no matter how much in the wrong she is. But Master said so. Quiet. That sickening girl must have strung Master along with her sweet words. All she's good at is sucking up. There's no way I'm about to share credit for such an important mission with her. We'll just say she was too slow and couldn't keep up. Their nagging echoed through the thick forest, reaching Zhuo Fan's sharp ears. Nether Sea. Isn't that the Nether Sovereign's place? Although I've caught a glimpse of it in the Mortal Domain's whirlwind tunnels, I had no idea how to enter it. But could such a map be real? Zhuo Fan paused and rushed over to the forest. He got his clothes in order and casually walked through the vegetation rustle. Who's there? A sharp cry came as 6 sharp swords glinted as they shot for the bush. Zhuo Fan felt their bloodthirst before he saw their faces. Zhuo Fan snickered, but still faked panic. Wait. I lost my way and don't mean any harm. Zhuo Fan rushed out of the bush, shaking in fear. Before him were 6 pretty girls, all perfect beauties in their own right, yet their cold eyes ruined the image. They sized him up and noticed him in the bone-tempering stage. They sighed with ease, and the leader, their senior sister, mocked. You're so old, yet only in the bone-tempering stage? Never knew someone like you existed in Sacred Domain. Humph! So weak, and yet you're wandering around a forest? A spiritual beast might pounce on you at any time and leave only your bones behind. Very true. I also know this is dangerous, but I have to earn a living. There's nothing else I can do besides picking herbs. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan gave a silly laugh, his face foolish as a sharp eye inspected their cultivation. Oh, 3 spirit kings, 1 mid-stage, 2 early stage, with the rest being at peak Genesis stage. Quite a strong team. Zhuo Fan snickered and bowed again, pretending to be confused. Mrs. May, I ask you what is up ahead? I've been in this forest for 3 months, unable to come out. A mere bone-tempering cultivator got what he deserves being stuck out here when you can't even fly. The senior sister relished in his predicament, with the other girls shooting him mocking smiles. She said again, feeling proud for some reason, Boy, You're better off turning back before you meet your end in this forest. And don't go any further, lest you want a painful death. Why? Ahead is the Ruby Cloud sect. The senior sister, sneered Zhua Fan, exclaimed, his face sinking. I was wondering why this place felt familiar. It turns out to be close to the Ruby Cloud sect. Humph! I've been following the 9 stars for so many months, ignoring the places I pass. Also, I can find my wife. Oblivious to his reaction, or better yet, never even registering anything about Zhua Fan's person, the senior sister arched her slim eyebrow and kept on patronizing him. You must have heard as well of my sex rules. Any man that dare come uninvited is to have a fate worse than death. Dying in a spiritual beast's mouth is heaven compared to that. So be smart and get lost, humph. Haha, you think I don't know that? Who doesn't know of those old biddies and their menopause? Zhua Fan snickered inside, showing a weird smile on the outside. Does that mean you're all Ruby Cloud sect disciples? Yes, scare now. The 6 girls thrusted their chest out in pride, their eyes holding nothing but loathing. We're on a mission right now, and even though we're on a tight schedule, you should be honored for us to look after a nobody like you. If you had met our master... Clank. Zhua Fan's smirk grew wider, clenching his fists. If I really had met your master, it would have been really bad indeed. As for you, Zhua Fan's Shielan arm gave a cold aura. Senior sister, please wait up. A gentle voice sounded, and a girl of around 20, dressed in white, huffed as she entered their sights. Just another corpse. Zhua Fan huffed inside. The others were annoyed. How did this girl even follow us? She's worse than a ghost. Senior sister. The girl giggled as she landed on the leader's side. Why didn't you wait for me and went ahead? I could hardly keep up. The senior sister rolled her eyes in disdain. Junior sister, the road is dangerous, and we didn't want you to tire and meet with danger. You should go back. Master cares for you so much and won't punish you for returning. Just say that I told you so. Senior sister, don't say that. We're close sisters, and I can help you when you're in trouble. It's also my very first mission outside the sect. I can't just fail it. The girl was quite lively, totally oblivious to her senior sister's disdain. She was like a sheep raised in the pen that had never braved the dangers of the wild outdoors. Zhua Fan snickered, giving her a long look. Your senior sisters only think of you when they say you should stay in the sect. The world is fraught with dangers. Zhua Fan clenched a fist behind him, his eyes gleaming coldly. Hey, who are you? You can also tell they're nice to me? With a pure smile, the girl turned to Zhua Fan. Zhua Fan held the same odd smile as he nodded. Yes, they're so nice to send you to hell, but now I see you came for death yourself. Ugh! Zhua Fan shuddered just then, looking deep in the girl's eyes, and felt his heart racing. She's really plain, no amazing beauty, but delicate and innocent. Those eyes gave him a familiar feeling. The girl looked into his eyes at the same time. Lost for a moment. Have we met before? What is your name? Zhua Fan's heart jumped. Qingsheng. The girl spoke without hesitation, considering Zhua Fan as one of her friends on the spot. Chu Qingsheng. Zhua Fan froze as he took her in fully and muttered like in a dream. Chu Qingsheng, still the same name. His numb mind looked in the distance, then turned to the girl's lost eyes, the fist behind relaxing as he smiled. Qingsheng, I found you at last. The rough hands held Chu Qingsheng's soft cheeks, his eyes looking only at her and appreciating her for who she was. With his soft gaze, Chu Qingsheng showed no revulsion to this stranger. She felt an odd sensation inside, like she knew this man, but could not recognize him. Chapter 1190, You Have to Be Mine. Chapter 1190, You Have to Be Mine. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bam! Zhua Fan drew closer as he held that cute face, but then a palm sent him flying and into the ground. Chu Qingsheng jumped and blushed hard as she recalled. What happened? Damn punk, you got some nerve going after a Ruby Cloud sect disciple. You must have a death wish. The senior sister started cursing at Zhua Fan on the ground, about to stomp on his legs for good measure. Chu Qingsheng saw it and managed to stop her. Heavens damn it, nosy crow. Zhua Fan's brow twitched as his anger boiled. The couple finally got together after so many years, but they couldn't even enjoy the reunion as the retarded Biddy had to ruin it. Zhua Fan wanted nothing more than to flatten them to a gooey mush. The only thing holding him back was knowing Chu Qingsheng was from Ruby Cloud's sect. So he took a deep breath to bottle the rage. It just wouldn't do for the husband to waste his wife's besties in a fit of fury. Why did Chu Qingsheng end up appearing in Ruby Cloud's sect of all places? Checking the 9 stars direction and recalling the familiar feeling he got from this girl, Zhua Fan was certain beyond any shadow of a doubt that she was Qingsheng, and not just in name. Either making a monumental effort to restrain himself, Zhua Fan put on a pained look as he crawled to his feet. He saw the angry shrews and raised his hands in a rush to explain. "Sisters, please, the striking similarity young Miss has with my late younger sister made me lose myself in emotions. It won't happen again next time." "Next time? You think you can just touch a lady's face?" The senior sister was outraged, about to smash him into the ground again, but Chu Qingsheng jumped in. "Senior sister, please, he must have loved his sister dearly and didn't know that he was doing something improper. It wasn't with intention, so please don't blame him." Blame him? For what? It wasn't me who he was hitting on anyway. Since you don't care, why should I? The senior sister flicked her sleeve with a snarl, flying away with her other sisters. "Let's just go and not waste time with that fool. She deserves being taken advantage of for falling for a rotten man's lies." "Senior sister," Chu Qingsheng cried after her, but the women were gone, and she hung her head sadly. She then blinked her big bright eyes at Zhua Fan. "Did you do that because I looked like your little sister, or was it on purpose?" Under her hopeful and intense gaze, Zhua Fan knew she was looking for comfort to justify her act of kindness. It would have been so much easier to just nod and play along while he didn't mind with others. Towards Qingsheng, he could lie. Now that the extras were gone from butting in, he could come clean. "No, I really couldn't help myself, but not because of my little sister, since I don't have one. It's because of my lover." "Wah!" Chu Qingsheng went red on the spot. Then she glared before turning to leave. "I was wrong about you, thinking you were nice, but it turns out you're just like senior sister said. You did it to take advantage of me and end up making them call me a fool." Chu Qingsheng looked hurt, following after the women when Zhua Fan shouted, "Wait, what now? If you try anything, you'll be sorry." Chu Qingsheng paused, then looked back at him hesitantly, and threatened her tone only made Zhua Fan chuckle. "She's in Genesis stage, and I'm in bone-tempering stage, by all appearances, yet she is using that shy tone? How is that normal?" Zhua Fan shook his head, giving her a long and deep stare. "Miss, I was not toying with you, nor did I try to take advantage of you. It's truly because I see you as my lover. My wife died, and seeing you resemble her, emotions overwhelmed me." Chu Qingsheng started, looking in Zhua Fan's honest gaze, and blushed as she gave a weak nod. "You must really love your wife. Then I won't hold you to what happened." The naive young miss turned around, wanting to leave with the matter settled. "Wait, what is it this time?" Chu Qingsheng paused and looked back curiously. Zhua Fan sighed. "Miss Chu, I can tell you're a good person. Could you do me a little favor? I got lost in this forest, and could you give me a lift? Take you with me." "You can't." I guess I can." She looked conflicted, but against Zhua Fan's request, she just couldn't find it in her to refuse. She shyly got to Zhua Fan's side and looked to see if the coast was clear before she reached out around his waist. I'll fly you out. Jay, just don't move." Chu Qingsheng jumped, and they were in the air. Zhua Fan took this moment to reach around her waist. Chu Qingsheng panicked and blushed harder. "What are you doing? Hands off." "Miss, I'm a bone-tempering cultivator, and I'm scared for my first time flying." With a wide grin, Zhua Fan took all the advantage he could. Chu Qingsheng was left succumbing to his sly hand and focused on making the trip as short as possible. At one point, Zhua Fan's head up and leaned on the girl's shoulder. Chu Qingsheng jerked and cried again. "What are you leaning on me for? First time flying is scary." Zhua Fan smiled wider, to which Chu Qingsheng gaped. She was simply powerless against Zhua Fan's slick tactics and reasoning. Despite it all, she still couldn't find a reason to hate him, taking a deep breath to warn instead, "Hey, have some manners." Try anything again, and I'll drop you. This time Zhua Fan went for the kill, moving from simply leaning on her shoulder to hugging outright. Chu Qingqing's heart was in chaos, her cheeks steaming from how red they were. What are you doing? Let me go. No, I'm scared of falling. Closing his eyes, Zhua Fan was at peace holding the one person he hadn't seen in 100 years. He was too content to let go. Chu Qingqing was frantic and landed on the ground before someone saw them. She could never let her senior sister see her like this. It was too damn mortifying. Whoosh! The two touched down, with Zhua Fan holding onto her like an octopus. Chu Qingqing's face twitched and snapped. Hey, we're on the ground. Now, get off. No, you're lying. We're definitely in the air, and I won't fall for it. The young miss had met the biggest rogue of them all, with the thickest skin ever as he used every trick to stay glued to her. Chu Qingqing squinted and huffed before she used force, throwing Zhua Fan off hard. He landed on the ground with a bang. Chu Qingqing glared. You definitely took advantage this time, and you dare lie to me? Young Miss Chu. Zhua Fan dusted his clothes before he smiled. Before I answer, would you answer me 2 questions first? Is there anyone you fancy? Zhua Fan went right ahead before she could reply. Chu Qingqing shook her head. Zhua Fan smiled. Are you engaged? Chu Qingqing started, then shook her head. Why is he asking me this? Great. Zhua Fan got the answers he wanted and laughed, coming before Chu Qingqing and reached out to hug her close as he looked longingly at her. Now I'll answer yours. I did it on purpose because I like you. You have to be mine. Don't. Chu Qingqing's mind blanked out, her eyes hazy. What on earth is going on? How am I yours just like that? She finally reacted after a few long moments and shoved him. You're crazy. We only met a couple hours ago, and I have no idea who you are. I am Zhua Fan. There, now we're no strangers. Qingqing, come with me. As if I'm a Ruby Cloud sect disciple. When it comes to marriage, I have to tell my master. An old crow meddling in my affairs? Qingqing, come with me. No one can stop us. Zhua Fan shouted, his voice filled with power. Chapter 1191, Annihilating. Chapter 1191, Annihilating. Proofreader, Papatonks. Chu Qingqing gave him a long look, her eyes twitching. She then shook her head and put on a cold face as she walked away. Do you have any idea who my master is, you lunatic? Braggart. I know, one of the 8 emperors, the one called Enchanting Empress, but ever since demonic energy had affected her hard in the battle at 9 Serenity's tomb, she aged. That's why we call her the Crone Empress. Zhua Fan's eyes shone. Qingqing, come with me, and I promise the biddy won't ever get to you. Chu Qingqing covered her ears and shook her head. Be silent. Don't sully my master's name. Just who do you think you are? Those senior sisters of mine are enough to flick the life out of you, let alone master. If you care for your life, stop talking. Not even I can save you then. Save me. Zhua Fan was touched, beaming. Qingqing, you take my side before that biddy? That means you do care about me. So why not come with me? Chu Qingqing hesitated me in my big mouth. Just what was with her? Why did she blurt that out? She barely even knew the guy. Only finding out his name, just now her heart was conflicted, while her face icy, glaring back. There'd be no point in the end, not when you're using me to replace your wife. This isn't love. There's no such thing as love at first sight. Now go. I've taken you out of the forest so you're safe. Qingqing, you have to believe me. You are my wife, not a substitute. You and her are one and the same. Zhua Fan spoke with determination. Chu Qingqing rolled her eyes, laughing. Sure, then chase me. We'll talk again when you catch me. Chu Qingqing pulled a smug look, like she outsmarted him, then flew away. Zhua Fan smirked. Dear me, if you don't take me flying, I'll just have to do it myself. Everyone says flying as a couple is so much better, while flying alone is so boring. Haha. Zhua Fan had no trouble going after her, treating it like a game. An hour later, Chu Qingqing was rushing in her senior sister's direction, but having caught no sight of them for so long began to weigh on her mind. Ugh, I'm not strong enough to keep up, and with that delay, I'll never catch up. Why can't they just wait for me? Fong Min, as the head senior sister of Ruby Cloud sect, You should be showing at least some remorse seeing your fellow sisters in peril instead of ignoring their fate. Hand over purple gold glazed cup, or else. A coarse laugh echoed across the sky, startling Chu Qingqing. Looking over, she noticed in the distance her fellow sisters surrounded by 24 men in black. 5 of them were even late-stage spirit kings. As for her sisters, all were injured, with 5 taken prisoners, and only her head senior sister barely hanging on. Chu Qingqing shot straight for them, striking with the cold palm of the man's chest. "How dare you harm my senior sister?" Bam! The man snickered and pointed 2 fingers at her. The power between the fingers shot through her cold aura and into her body. Chu Qingqing coughed blood, collapsing on the spot. The broads of Ruby Cloud Sect are so mighty. For even a 7th-layer Genesis cultivator to strike me, a peak Genesis cultivator. What moron? The guy mocked, and his team laughed. Fong Min shook her head, glaring at Chu Qingqing. "You fool, you saw us surrounded, but instead of going to the sect for help, you charged right in? You thought your meager skill was going to save the day?" "Senior sister." Chu Qingqing hung her head low, the words wounding her. Fong Min scoffed and shouted at the men in black. "Arrogant bastards, you knew we're from Ruby Cloud's sect, yet you still came for us? You've just signed your death warrant." Why do you think we're masked?" The leading late-stage spirit king stepped forward and shouted, "We'd much rather avoid having the Crone Empress hounding us till the end of days. If you want to live past today, hand it over and we'll let you go. When we get violent, at the end there's just us men, and you girls, ha." The others laughed, showing greedy smiles. Fong Min grounded her teeth, with the other girls putting a tough front when they were all afraid of those creepy smiles. These filthy mongrels don't care. Hesitating, Fong Min was put on the spot. By handing it over, the blame of failure would fall entirely on her. But if she didn't, they would never be able to live with themselves after today. Fong Min was on the fence, weighing her position in the sect or her future. Her eyes wandered back to the depressed Chu Qingqing and lit up. She shot before her and threw a prismatic cup to her. "Junior sister, take this and run. I'll hold them off. You can't let me down." "Senior sister, run." Fong Min shouted again. Looking ready to die for the cause, Chu Qingqing sniffed and nodded. She took the treasure and ran. She would give her life to protect it, to repay all her senior sister's trust in her. The man in black saw her run off and shouted, "Girl, give it here if you don't want a really good time." Whoosh! The men ignored the other girls and shot after Chu Qingqing. Fong Min gave a token of resistance, looking at the frail figure almost overrun with men, with a creepy grin. "Girl, get back here." Boom! A powerful palm struck at Chu Qingqing from behind. She tensed up and noticed him to be the peak Genesis expert she went after before. Her heart sank despite the peril and certain doom. She was set to carry on her sister's mission. Chu Qingqing gnashed her teeth and held the cup tight with one hand, while using the other to launch an attack in reply. The man in black snickered. Ha, Missy, you're still acting tough after that defeat? Die." Bam! All they knew was that the guy's power had the clear advantage. Yet as the 2 of them clashed, the man in black up and got pulverized into a bloody mist, his very trace gone from this world. Ugh. The other chasers halted on the spot, looking dumbstruck. No way. How can a 7th-layer Genesis cultivator be that much stronger than a peak one to kill him in one shot? Why the hell was she hurt in the first place then? Was it to bait us? The Ruby Cloud sect disciples blinked in disbelief. They knew all too well about their little junior sister's strength, and it was clearly nowhere near that level. That guy was a peak Genesis expert, only beneath a spirit king. They all had suffered at his blows, yet now everyone was dumbstruck. Even Chu Qingqing, staring from her palm to the bloody mist in shock. Was my palm that strong? This never happened before. None noticed a shadow lurking in a bush just off from the conflict, watching. And I was particularly eye-catching, shining in 8 golden rings. Divine eye of the void, 8th stage, blink. Zhuo Fan muttered as he put away the fingers, his smile cold. Sending a move through space, right in front of the opponent before they react, is in the realm of a Spirit King's spatial control skill. Catching anyone off guard, ha. Zhuo Fan glanced at the stunned Fong Min, his face hard. This woman knew Qin Sheng couldn't handle them, yet still handed over the treasure and faked holding them. What a twisted heart. She did it to save her skin and shirk responsibility for failure, letting Qin Sheng take the fall. For messing with my wife, her fate is death. Qin Sheng might look innocent as a lily now, but her man ain't just going to turn the other cheek. Chapter 1192, Killing a Spirit King. Chapter 1192, Killing a Spirit King. Proofreader, Papatonks. Girl, you've been holding out on me. Once the reality of the situation sank in, an aged man in black shot forth as he released his deadly aura. Never would I imagine that I'd have to step in against some lousy girls. Now it's time for you to join my brother. The man raised his hand, and the air around Chu Qinsheng warped. Chu Qinsheng cried out, "A spirit king. I may be at the early stage, but I'm a spirit king nonetheless. Against a 7th-layer Genesis cultivator like you, it's more than enough. You can hide as much power as you want, but it still won't touch upon a spirit king's might." Ha! The man's eyes shone with pride. Chu Qingqing's face grew hard, her heart sinking as she took out a 12th-grade spiritual sword as she stood on high alert to all movement around her. However, the trembling gave her unsettled mind away. Deep down, she knew an attack could come from anywhere, especially since she was up against a spirit king who could control the space around her. What was she to do? She was wound tighter than a violin, tense and anxious. The men in black snickered her being so jumpy. The spirit king laughed and grabbed. "Say goodnight, girl." Whoosh! The space shifted just then, and a rain of arrows launched for Chu Qinsheng. She panicked, her face paling. A spirit king could attack out of the blue. Giving her no time to react, she clutched the spiritual sword harder, feeling like she was about to fall. Qinsheng. Her fellow sisters shouted in worry. Wounded as they all were, they had no hope of providing any help, only staring helplessly as their little junior sister was about to meet her end. Whoosh! The downcast Chu Qinsheng up and vanished from everyone's sight, leaving the arrows to miss their target. The spirit king shouted, "Where is she?" Above, from behind his cozy little bush, Zhuofan grinned to himself as his right eye shone in one golden halo. Divine Eye of the Void, first stage, shift. Chu Qinsheng popped back into their sights just half a meter above the Spirit King's head, looking as dull as ever. What just happened? The man in black panicked, his eyes filled with confusion. What was that? I had control of the entire space, so why did this chick appear next to me without me sensing her? Just who am I dealing with here? The guy and Chu Qinsheng shared an equally dumb look of stupefaction, forgetting who they were. The rest just stared at them like statues. Chu Qingqing's sisters were overwhelmed. What supreme skill was that? How'd she do that? The Spirit King clearly didn't notice her either. One senior sister cried out, "Qinsheng, now's your chance, attack." Chu Qingqing woke up from her daydreaming. At long last, right? She couldn't get a better shot than this, and slashed down. The Spirit King had no way of taking on a 12th-grade spiritual weapon with his body, and surviving. Chu Qinsheng perked up and went for his head. The man reacted fast, flicking his sleeve and revealing sharp fingers as they aimed to grip Chu Qingqing's wrist with his power. It wouldn't stop as a mere seizure of the hand, but breaking it completely. The girl sighed inside. Even with Qingqing so strong, a Spirit King still has the upper hand, even at such close distance. Their gap in experience shows. Chu Qinsheng knew this as well, and her heart sank for some very peculiar reason, though. The man's claw and the entire arm up and got flung in the air as it sprayed blood everywhere. The guy was frozen stiff with an utter dumbfounded look in his eyes. What the name of all that's wholly going on here? Can anyone explain it to me? He would never get to know the truth, not like anyone here knew anyway. As he lost his golden chance to stop Chu Qinsheng, her sword came down with ease. The Sword King got split in two, his innards and spilling out like molasses, soaking the dirt in his blood and guts. His separated eyes were still as confused as before, unable to unravel the profound mystery of his death. The shock outcome was so great everyone was in denial of what they saw. Chu Qinsheng handling a peak Genesis expert was unexpected but understandable, somewhat, but doing it to someone a stage above. That guy had shed the mortal coil and became a spirit king. And yet he got done in with a sword, something not even a peak sword king could do. Everyone's eyes twitched as they looked at Chu Qingsheng in fear and confusion. Her senior sisters as well were slack-jawed with popping eyes. Thump. The late spirit king and leader of the men landed before Chu Qingsheng. While his features were covered, the cloth couldn't hide the naked bloodthirst in his eyes. Appearance is an illusion. A chick like you looks harmless as a puppy, yet a true expert hides underneath all that facade. He cupped his hands to her, shouting, "Please oblige me a few moves, young miss." He unleashed his power, and the space all around started fracturing. The men in black cried out and cheered. Chu Qingsheng was shocked to the core, forcing herself to breathe under that stifling power. Even as it pushed against her, she managed to stand still. The man grew grave. "Young miss, you're not going to show your true strength? You showed great power by dispatching my people with frightening ease, yet you can't even handle my pressure?" He ramped up the aura by a third. Chu Qingsheng coughed and sank to one knee, feeling like something was crushing her. The others were mocking her. "These broads are something, but not enough for our boss. He's the strongest, ha ha ha." The leader never left Chu Qingsheng out of his sight, on high alert. The two deaths before were just too bizarre. "Curses, you dare mess with my woman?" Zhuo Fan wore a cold smile. "Since you insist on wanting me to step in, then you better be ready for it." Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed in 8 golden rings. Divine eye of the void, 8th stage. Blink. Who? Chu Qingsheng felt uplifted out of the blue. The pressure gone as she stood back with ease. She was perplexed. Did he stop? Looking around, though, told a different story. The air around her was still shimmering. The grass beneath her was flattened and the rocks pulverized. Yet 10 meters around her was right as rain. Chu Qingsheng was stumped. What's he playing at this time? The guy cracked up and looked ready to fight. "So you're finally giving your all? Let's do this then, young miss." See that? She's standing under the boss pressure. Only spirit kings can do that. Yeah, that's why she killed 2 of our strongmen, because she's on another level. We were too careless, taken in by her average appearance, when she was nothing but a spirit king expert. She must have been baiting us for the right moment to take the treasure back. The other men in black bobbed their heads, commenting on Chu Qingsheng's performance. She must be the real head senior sister of Ruby Cloud sect to guard the treasure. Fong Min's face twitched and ground her teeth. This lousy brat. This is absurd. I'm the real head senior sister here. Chapter 1193. Shadow. Chapter 1193. Shadow. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ignoring the comments, Chu Qingsheng was tense enough as it was due to the opponent's challenge. But she still raised her sword to point it at him and looked tough. "Come, I'll never hand over the purple gold-glazed cup. Neither do I want you to, for it will be the winner's spoils." The leader's hand released a gray energy, his eyes sharp as they made the young Miss cower whoosh. Before the leader even got a strike, however, Chu Qingsheng's sword acted first. A sharp sword energy went by the leader's head, striking another spirit king somewhere. Behind, blood spurted everywhere as the victim was removed from this world. Ugh. The leader stiffened, frozen on the spot, as if he regarded Chu Qingsheng like a monster or a creature beyond any comprehension. He had no time to even flinch as the attack flew dangerously close to his own head before taking down a brother of his. Just an inch to the side, and it'd have been him instead. Gulp. The leader was sweating buckets, just as he saw the young miss looking perplexed at what transpired. Her sword moved by itself. Whoosh! Chu Qingsheng's sword acted up again, sending another sword wave, whizzing past the leader's scalp to pop another spirit king into a cloud of bloody mist. Everyone shuddered as they jumped back, looking at Chu Qingsheng like she was a devil. A twitch of his sword nailed one down. Such simplistic and efficient killing was that of an expert killer. What was even worse, she was mocking their leader, the one she was actually facing, while culling them instead. Just how outrageous is this chick's power to even slight a late-stage spirit king? Is she an emperor? As blood leaked out of a slight cut on the leader's cheek, he now saw Chu Qingsheng with nothing but fear. He never saw a faster sword in his life. The girl wasn't innocent by a long shot. The strikes were shot with brutality, meant to execute with impunity. Miss, who on earth are you? Unable to get even his voice under control, the leader shuddered in front of Chu Qingqing's guileless gaze. Chu Qingqing mused, then replied according to the custom, with cupped hands, I am Ruby Cloud Sect 362nd generation disciple, Chu Qingqing. May I know who you are? 362 ND, the youngest? How do you have such power and skill? Incapable of getting an answer, the leader frowned in thought. He regarded Chu Qingqing again with utter shock now. That's... A shadow grew behind Chu Qingqing, dark and shifty, and he only realized it now thanks to his Spirit King-level cultivation. The force he felt from it left him weak in the knees, and he staggered back. He hastily cupped his hands. I am in awe of Miss' incredible feat of strength. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Let's go. The leader waved and was the first to flee for his life. His back soaked, the rest of his men were right behind him. The Missy must be really something for the boss to choose retreat over attacking. Chu Qingqiang was absolutely perplexed, just saluting back on reflex. Yeah, later. What frickin' later? You came for a fight, so don't think of getting out alive. Chu Qingqiang didn't care about them. While Zhuo Fan snickered from his cozy little bush, Chu Qingqing's shadow shot out, and her sword acted up again. Whoosh. A sword energy flew at the men in black, running through the chests of 3 people. Plop. They all turned to a bloody mist. All Genesis stage experts. The leader snapped at Chu Qingqing. Miss, we never touched any of your people. We're even leaving, yet you would be so cruel as to kill us. Fleeing men? No, it's the sword. Chu Qingqiang looked hurt at the accusation, lamenting as she turned to her sword. Her words got cut off, literally, as her sword had a mind of its own. Sword energy flew galore, each robbing a wail of agony from a man in black, along with his life, sending them to the great beyond. The leader looked at the heavy casualties and roared. Curses, this chick is an oddity and bloodthirsty like a banshee. Run, we'll pay her back later. Well, aren't you a ray of sunshine, so optimistic? There won't be any loose ends. Whoosh. Zhuo Fan flicked from his bush with an insidious smile. Chu Qingqing's shadow moved her hand and sent more sword energy flying, making it so it was all her doing. The sky was filled under the gaudy lights of the sword waves, soon covering the ground in fresh and bloody corpses for the new grass to grow. The Ruby Cloud sect disciples looked startled, since when was junior sister Qingqing so cruel? Chu Qingqiang watched as lives were mowed down like grass on the verge of tears, shouting, Stop! Please stop. No can do, Qingqiang. I'm ending this here and now for your sake. Zhuo Fan muttered from the bush. Chu Qingqiang held the sword with both hands, trying her best to get it under control. She cried, Stop this instant or I will cripple my meridians. Without my yuan qi, you can't do anything. Zhuo Fan listened at last, with a shake of his head. Fine, since you said so, and if it'll make you happy. Chu Qingqing's shadow settled, and the flood of sword energy slowed down to a halt. Though only 3 men in black remained, including the leader glancing back at the she-demon, the wretched thieves ran for their lives while the girl was downcast. They came here thinking it was an easy gig, but luck had it they got almost all of their men killed. We need backup to deal with this hellspawn. The Ruby Cloud sect disciples glanced at Chu Qingqiang, slumped on the ground with dull eyes. They couldn't recognize her, only feeling fear. Senior sister, are you all right? I kept the purple gold glazed cup safe. Chu Qingqiang jumped back to her feet like nothing happened, beaming at the girls. You're all hurt. Want me to heal you? Pa. Fong Min yanked the cup from Chu Qingqing's hand and mocked as a form of thanks. Little junior sister, you sure kept to yourself all this time. But now you showed us. Without your help today, junior sister, our lives would have been forfeited. All of us are so useless, needing junior sister's protection. Senior sister, don't say that. It's my duty. Chu Qingqiang was worried as she spoke obliviously to the sarcasm. Senior sister, why aren't you pleased that we have overcome this disaster? Fong Min chuckled with scorn. Oh, I'm pleased as punch. of Junior Sister's glorious future. You alone had finished off 24 people and many spirit kings among them, making us fall short. But Junior Sister, when did you become so cruel to kill people on a whim? We all saw them leaving, so why did you go after them still? If I didn't know any better, you'd have to be from Devil Mountain than Ruby Cloud's sect. Senior Sister, I really didn't want to kill them. It was my sword. It just moved? That's rich. Fong Min snickered, her tone biting and mean. Sisters, let's keep going. We don't need to worry about little Junior Sister anymore. She has an almighty, independent, divine sword and can do away without our help. Fong Min was the first to fly off, with the others taking healing pills before giving Chu Qingcheng looks of fear and then following. Chu Qingcheng was left alone and in guilt, looking at her baffling spiritual sword with conflicted emotions. She liked the sword for coming to her and her senior sister's rescue, but hated it for going out of control and isolating her from her senior sisters. It was never the sword, however, but a man, the one wearing a creepy smile, just off to the side in a bush. Chapter 1194. An Emperor Joins. Chapter 1194. An Emperor Joins. Proofreader, Papatonks. Chu Qingcheng lowered her head, depressed, looking at her sword with a sigh. Senior sisters are wrong about me. I'm no killer. They have the treasure and might meet other mean people. Chu Qingcheng started and spoke to her spiritual sword. Cerulean, we have to protect senior sisters, but you have to behave and not kill whenever. You have to listen or... Chu Qingcheng's voice drifted, not knowing how to threaten her rampant spiritual sword. Or I'll just get another one. Ding! The sword slightly shook in ridicule. You call that a threat? Besides, that wasn't me, so why are you threatening me? Humph! The oblivious Chu Qingcheng was deaf to her spiritual sword, of course, looking relieved as she chased after her senior sisters. Save me. Someone save me. A sudden cry reached her ears. Shriek. She also heard the sharp shriek of a bird. Chu Qingcheng looked back in panic. A 100-meter big bird, covered in blue flames, was holding a man in its beak. 8th level spiritual beast, Firestorm Eagle. Chu Qingcheng shouted. How did this guy end up caught by a spiritual beast like this? Cerulean, let's go save him. Chu Qingcheng shot for the 8th level spiritual beast, and slash bam. A white sword wave hacked into the blue flames, freezing the air and making the fire fizzle out. Shriek. The spiritual beast cried out, and Zhuofan used this chance to get out of its beak. The spiritual beast didn't fight the girl, choosing to flee instead. Chu Qingcheng beamed, then recalled Zhuofan and went to him, only to find his legs sticking out of the ground. Chu Qingcheng grabbed one at random and pulled. Sorry, I was so focused on the fight with the beast I forgot about you. Are you all right? Ha ha ha, I'm perfect. I am in the bone tempering stage after all, and won't die from something as simple as falling. Zhuofan grinned and wiped his face of dirt and dust. Qingcheng, thanks for saving me again. It must be in the stars to meet. We have to be fated to be together. Chu Qingcheng's face fell and threw him. Humph! A scoundrel only knows how to spew lies. I wasted my time saving you for nothing. You're just trying to make your move on me. I should have just let that bird eat you. You'd never, since you can't go on without me. Zhuofan was sickeningly corny, though he was also right, as his words made Chu Qingcheng blush. Her heart racing, she shook her head at those random emotions and gave a smirk. You're nothing to me, braggart. So why would I ever stick around with you? Humph, now off you go, Shu. I still need to find my senior sisters. Bye. Chu Qingcheng left. Zhuofan howled and his forehead was covered in sweat, straining to speak. Qingcheng, don't worry about me. Just do what you have to do. Leave me here in the wild outdoors for another strong spiritual beast to come around and take a bite out of me again. I won't blame you, since you don't care about me. Just go do you. Chu Qingcheng looked back to see Zhuofan grimacing and looking pale while his leg bled. Chu Qingcheng rushed over and took out a gauze to bandage him. Weren't you a bone-tempering cultivator? Why did you get a broken leg from falling? It's that spiritual beast who snapped it in its beak. Zhuofan gasped. Bone-tempering stage isn't enough to withstand those sharp fangs. Here, a healing pill for my sect. She fished out a vial in a rush and fed Zhuo Fan a pill. Chu Qingqing's heart felt forlorn for some reason. But as we're all Genesis experts, we only got pills for internal wounds. It'll take a week to heal your leg as is. Zhuo Fan nodded, looking distressed. Not moving for a week. I'll be a sitting duck for spiritual beasts to gobble me up. Stop saying that. You'll be fine with me around. Chu Qingqing glared at him, but then she looked in the direction her fellow sisters went. Zhuo Fan smiled. Qingqing, aren't you going after your senior sisters? Just go and forget about me. How can I just leave you with your leg like this? Puffing her underwhelming chest, Chu Qingqing spoke with honor and righteousness. But then she hoisted Zhuo Fan's arm and helped him up on her back, smiling. Isn't this better? I'll carry you to find my senior sisters and let you down in a safe place. That's mighty clever of you. Zhuo Fan lit up and nodded. Chu Qingqing smiled in pride. Of course, now let's go. The two were gone like the wind, but the pure girl failed to notice the big eagle looking at them from a distance. Thank heavens that prick is gone. Brother, what's with that cut on your back? Another eagle shrieked in teasing, many times bigger. Did a human play with you? Want bro here to set them straight? The first eagle flayed its wings and squawked, looking panicky. No, definitely no. Please don't. I never want to see that guy again. Is he that tough? From the wound, he doesn't look much to me. The slash barely dented your feathers. You know nothing. It's not the sword wielder, the tough one, but the guy forcing me to hold him in my beak. Its eyes were filled with fear as he recalled Zhuo Fan's black orbs. Its feathers even trembled from terror. The bigger eagle looked stumped. Who on earth did this guy meet to make him shake like a leaf? The escaping men in black arrived at a barren mountain, where a refined elder was enjoying his tea in a chair. The three men in black slumped weakly at the old man's side, bowing. Clan head. Well, where is it? Clan head. We failed to take it and suffered heavy casualties. The leader hung his head crack. The cup broke in the old man's hand, his voice laced with fury. Failed? More than 20 experts and a late-stage spirit king failed? Weren't they just 7 girls? You couldn't even deal with them? Are you morons or simply garbage? Clan head. The others shivered, with the leader speaking. Clan head, let me explain. 6 of them were nothing, but the last girl was simply horrible. She killed without blinking and had an uncanny power about her. None of us could handle her. Even WW would have ended up dead if we were any slower. The old man eyed them and rose from his chair, his eyes sharp. For you, a late-stage spirit king, to fail against her, then she must be something else. That leaves only me to step in. Clan head, you're going to go after them yourself? The demonic emperor entrusted us with this task, and I'm not about to botch it. The old man snapped back. If just one of you had shown even a bit of promise, I wouldn't have deigned to steal from some nobodies. The old man covered his face with black cloth. The demonic emperor said not to harm anyone if possible, as to not stir up the old hag. All that matters is that we ruin their deal in Mist City. Let's go. Yes. They all got excited. With the clan head stepping in, that girl is finished. He is a mighty expert in the sacred domain, a true emperor. Chapter 1195, Imperial Descent. Chapter 1195, Imperial Descent. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh. Under a clear, sunny sky, the 6 disciples of Ruby Cloud sect were the only ones flying. The leader had a nice face, but the grimace ruined her image. The head senior sister looked angry all the time. These past 3 days, one looked worried. Senior sister, are we going too fast? There's been no sight of junior sister all this time. Maybe she's lost. Humph. A spirit king is beneath her, but she can't catch up? She must have been playing around since it's her first time outside the sect. Why do you care? Fong Min spat with venom. The disciple's heart shrank, but still tried. Yeah, it's her first time this far from the sect, and might not know the way. Should we leave her some signs to follow? You talk too much. Fong Min barked. That girl's so tough now, so why would she need your care? Are you leaving signs so the enemy can find us instead? Is that it? The girl shrank under head senior sister's harsh stare. Fong Min glared at her, then looked back ahead, brooding and furious as they went on. Boom! A sudden pressure came out of nowhere over them, and their flight was cut off. Falling to the ground, an aged voice laughed from everywhere. Haha, you think I need some signs to find you? Whoosh! 50 men in black landed before them, with 20 spirit kings among them. Their leader wore black, his scary eyes making the girls tremble. Imperial descent. He's an emperor. Fong Min gasped, full with dread as she looked at the older man. Her heart was beating so hard it might jump out of her chest. The other girls could barely breathe. The old man mocked. Juniors of the Ruby Cloud sect, I'd rather avoid having any real altercation with that biddy, so hand over the purple gold glaze cup. I'll be letting you all go without harming one hair on you. What do you say? As a mighty emperor, Senior must be of great renown in sacred domain. Why would you lower yourself to some petty theft act? Fong Min tried the diplomatic way, her tone shaky, but an even stronger pressure descended and forced her to shriek and cough blood. The old man snickered. We all have our sordid past, or do you not already see our covered faces? Girl, give it here, and we'll be out of your hair. No fuss, no mess. But if it gets to it, I'll just have to pry it from your cold, dead hands. The girls tensed, all looking towards Fong Min and awaiting her decision. Head senior sister, what do we do? Senior. Fong Min's eyes darted around, smiling. Sorry, but you're getting ahead of yourself. You really want me to kill you all? Ha ha ha, kill us. Fong Min laughed in his face. Senior, you got me all wrong. I'm not so stupid to fight the impossible. The treasure just isn't with us. You can just kill us and see for yourself. The old man's face twitched as he gave her a hard look. Not on you? Do you think I'll buy that? Search ahead, then. Fong Min grinned as she forced her feet under her, taking out her storage ring. I'll go first. All I have is in there. Take a look. Why? Still don't believe me? Ha. You could just search me as well. Fong Min started undressing under the fixed gaze of the old man as her dress grew lighter. Her curves grew more obvious. The other guys behind were enchanted. Many gulped and drooled, having forgotten about some lame treasure, engrossed in having her take off everything. That took priority by far. Senior sister. Her fellow disciples were tense and jittery. When senior sister finishes, it won't be us next, will it? We'll now lose both the treasure and our purity. What is senior sister thinking going so far? All right. Fong Min was left in a most enticing and revealing inner garment when the old man stopped her as men hung their heads at having lost a good show, whining inside. Clan head, can't you mind the timing? Only just a bit more. I know you're withered, but you could at least think of everyone else. The old man already believed this lass somewhat for going so far, not even bothering with the throne ring as he shouted, I'll believe you for now, but if you don't have it, who does? My junior sister. Your junior sister. Junior sister is the strongest, so the treasure can only be in her care. We're nothing but bait. Even if you kill us, you won't get anything out of it. Fong Ming held out her head. The old man looked back at the previous leader, and he attested. Clan head, the strongest girl is indeed not here. They must have split up and had her deliver the treasure. Where is she? The old man fixed his gaze back on Fong Min. Speak, and you may go. Otherwise, Fong Min paused. 3 days ago, after the attack, Junior's sister took a different route, just to be safe. I have no idea where she could be by now. You could just trail back and maybe still find some clues. Find some trackers and get me her direction. The old man's piercing gaze never left Fong Min. Girl, lie to me and I'll be back at any time to send you all to hell. Let's go. He shot into the sky, gone like the wind. The rest gulped and gave the 6 pretty girls one last look before leaving, as well even with all the danger gone. The girls still looked to be in despair, getting dressed again and picking up her ring. Fong Min had a smile of utter scorn on her face. Humph. Here's what you want, you old fart. Come and get it. Senior sister, are they gone? Will they come back? One girl was still shaken up from the deadly pressure. Even now, Fong Min grew grave. Yet once he finds Junior's sister doesn't have the purple gold glaze cup, he'll be sure to storm back. Sisters, we're detoring to Mist City. Leave not a trace of your energy on your way. so they can't find us. Yes, head senior sister. They all cupped their hands, but then one girl shyly said, "What about little junior sister? When they do find her, that's her problem. It was either sending them after her or us dying instead. What would you prefer, her or us?" Fong Min snapped a cold glare on her. Shutting her up, she had a cruel smile as she then took the lead. "All the rancor eating her up these past days gone, girl. You won't be missed, Humph." 5 days went by, with a girl carrying on her back a thin man and taking a totally different path from Fong Min's group. In flying, she spoke her worries. "Zhuo Fan, is Mist City this way? Why haven't we met with the others yet?" "Not to worry. My sense of direction is perfect." Zhuo Fan grinned, feeling warm and gooey inside as he gazed upon her adorable and worried face. "Perfect direction? Huh. Well, of course, I've been roaming the sacred domain for ages that I know it like the back of my hand. While admitting the fact I'm taking the wrong way is a different story. Rather than catch up to those third wheels, a world just for the two of us is so much better. Chapter 1196, Hellish. Chapter 1196, Hellish. Proofreader, Papatonks. Huff. It had been a week already, yet no sign of the girls, as Chu Qingsheng carried Zhuo Fan with ragged breath. Worry plagued her innocent heart, making her not stop for even a second all this time. Even for a Genesis stage expert, the long travel took its toll. Zhuo Fan was feeling a bit guilty, wiping her sweaty brow. "Qingsheng, my leg is healed now. Let's take a rest." "No, I've yet to catch up to my senior sisters. We can't stop now. It will only make us lag further behind." Chu Qingsheng was stubborn. "You won't ever catch them. Not by taking the wrong way, at least." Zhuo Fan sighed. "Qingsheng, what difference does it make if we can't reach them? They're faster than you anyway, so there's no way you can catch up. Aren't you going to just meet up in Mist City? You'll just see them there, so just take it easy." "But this is my first time outside the sect. How should I know where Mist City is? Don't you have me for something this simple? I'll show you the way." "You?" Chu Qingsheng started, looking back. "Weren't you out looking for herbs? Won't I give you more trouble for guiding me all the way to Mist City?" Zhuo Fan chuckled. "What does it matter? I'm just a drifter. We'll just go to Mist City, then you could drop me off on your way back." "Oh, then, thanks." Qingsheng's cheeks went pink, thinking she would carry him back as well. Though her heart did not seem to mind it, Zhuo Fan snickered, his breath tickling her ear. "You don't want to carry me?" Chu Qingsheng blushed harder, shaking her head. "Would you carry me then?" The guy was taking all the advantage he could from her back, making her flustered. "Then hold me all my life, all right?" Zhuo Fan spoke in an emotional and heavy tone. Chu Qingsheng shuddered, her mind blanking out as she stared deep in those black and tender eyes of his. She just did not know where Zhuo Fan's confession even came from to say something like that. Zhuo Fan looked at her with nothing but love, leaned over, and pecked her lipstone. Chu Qingsheng froze solid, her mind blown away. Feeling the strange, yet familiar male scent, her heart raced. With one shudder, they both fell to the ground, each left a 2-meter-wide hole. Chu Qingsheng crawled out of hers, panicky and blushing, looking over as Zhuo Fan held on the edge of his hole. "Why, you were just toying with me again." "Yeah, sorry, I just can't help it." Zhuo Fan scratched his head, yet showed no remorse as he smiled. "Since I took unfair advantage, why don't you do the same? I'll even let you kiss me for 10 whole minutes. I won't mind it one bit either, haha." "Why, you're so crude." Chu Qingsheng glared at him and walked out on him. "I'm ignoring you." "Qingsheng, don't go. You don't know the way, so let me guide you." "I don't need you. I could just ask someone, Humph." Zhuo Fan snickered as he gestured for the way ahead. Chu Qingsheng had lost faith in this rascal. Huffing and flying into the air in anger, Zhuo Fan scratched his head. "Too soon? Was I pushing things too hard? Ha ha ha. Guess it's not easy chasing girls. I just can't understand how Qingsheng stood so loyal for 10 years and endured so much bitterness. Guess I get what I deserve now, with me doing the chasing this time." Zhuo Fan sighed. Let's see what I should use this time for our next meeting. Last time I was getting chewed by an eagle, so that's out. I'm in the bone tempering stage, so I can't just go after her." Whoosh! Zhua Fan was going through his bag of tricks to hook girls when black streaks flew overhead and darkened the sky. Thanks to his meager cultivation, he was ignored by these powerhouses. Zhua Fan, however, grew grave from their direction of flight. How did they catch up so fast? Ching Chung is all alone, so they should be looking after those broads instead. Take their stuff and just leave. So why are they here again? Casting blame? Zhua Fan vanished the next second. Damn it, they even have an emperor with them. I won't be able to hide this time. Chu Qingcheng kept flying and cursing in anger. Rotten, evil Zhua Fan, you only know how to toy with me. Senior sister was right. There's no trusting any man. They're all evil. Boom. A resounding boom echoed, followed by an unearthly pressure slamming into her and sending her crashing into the ground rumble. An even bigger explosion echoed as a crater half a mile wide sprouted, kicking up dust. Chu Qingchang coughed blood and looked pale. Men in black landed in her sights, the leader being an old man. Her? She doesn't look like anything, yet she killed 24 people. Clan head, don't let her cultivation fool you. She is a freak. The ex-leader whispered in his ear. Chu Qingcheng strained her wan face, only to cough blood again. Why you again? Girl, hand over the purple gold glazed cup, or I'll give you a fate worse than death. Purple gold glazed cup? Chu Qingcheng looked confused. I don't have it, but I wouldn't give Ruby Cloud sex treasure even if I did. The old man scoffed. Very well. Bam! Chu Qingcheng was sent flying from a kick to the gut. She jerked and coughed more blood. Mixed with her innards, how weak, just at Genesis stage. The old man frowned, looking back in doubt. Is she the same expert that had you scared out of your minds? I don't see it. The man's face twitched, hanging his head. Clan head, maybe she's not herself today up on bricks. Pon. The old man smacked him hard. You think it's funny. The old man snorted. The other man lowered his head, cursing Chu Qingcheng to high heaven. Damn girl, where has all that fire gone? Give me something, even a tenth, so that I can prove to Clan head my mission failed for a very good reason. As it is now, I'm only being rebutted. There's no way we can prove our failure now. I'll deal with you later. Yes. The old man glared at him before turning to Chu Qingcheng. The ex-leader looked like a kicked puppy. On the verge of crying, the old man reached the girl and raised his foot. Lass, you killed my men, so I can't let you go like the rest. Since you're so obstinate, I'll crack open that skull of yours before looking for the treasure on your body. The old man stomped. A mighty pressure fell on her face, heralding certain doom. Chu Qingcheng felt her weakened body growing heavy and her heart sinking. Am I going to die? There's so many things I want to do. I don't even know my purpose in life, so how can I just... Boom! Her eyes closed just as the old man stomped a huge crater in front of her a mile wide. When the dust settled, the old man shook, his head whipping in another direction and shouting, "State who you are. You don't need to know it for where you're going." A pitch-black figure appeared in the roaming dust, its voice eerie and chilling. Even these criminals used to getting their hands dirty felt their hearts seizing from the hellish feeling. Chapter 1197, Imperial Mark. Chapter 1197, Imperial Mark. Proofreader, Papatonks. All heads turned to where the wind blew, on edge. Even the old man was cautious, taking back his foot. When all dust cleared, they saw a thin man holding a barely alive Chu Qingcheng. The man in black gasped. He saved her from under Clan head's nose without any of us noticing anything. He's a true expert. The old man's eyes shone, his voice low. At least it makes my trip worthwhile, knowing there's someone that can take me on. Zhua Fan traced Chu Qingcheng's unconscious face, looking dark as he turned to the rest. Geezer, you must be rushing to die going after her. Humph, pretentious fool. At least you have skill to save someone from my attack. Though having an unconscious girl weighing you down won't be of much help. Whoosh. The old man looked smug with his smile, but then he heard whistling sword waves, instantly ripping apart 10 spirit kings so fast. Everyone gasped in fright. The old man froze as well, unable to believe what he saw. How is his sword energy so fast that I couldn't even see it? It's beyond even sword Emperor Ao Changtian's imperial sword wins. What the hell are you? The old man finally revealed fear in his voice for the first time. Zhuo Yifan grinned, with the ex-leader in black exclaiming, "Now I get it. Clan head. He had to be the one who struck us before, not the girl. He's the monster." Bam! His head got split in two like a melon. Zhuo Fan smiled. "Who sent you and why?" They all gulped, the only sound in the deathly silence. The other men were horrified, glancing at the clan head for any signs of what to do. The old man was sweating now, thinking of a way out. Zhuo Yifan shook his head. "Since you can't even answer, I have no further use for you. Heaven sealing sword art space seal." Zhuo Fan flicked his hand, and the space took on a cold glint, with all of the others stuck in place. What is this? A spirit king? Their hearts jumped in their chests. The elder looked grave, barely budging even as an emperor. With his movements slowed down so much, he began to feel the danger. He's no average spirit king to be able to freeze fellow spirit kings, and even an emperor. Just what is he? Why haven't I heard of anyone like him in all my years in Sacred Domain? Zhuo Fan grinned. "Well, feel like talking now? You can opt for silence, but there'll be nothing left of any of you to even bury you. Who is it that said she's weighing me down? I don't even need to go all out against the likes of you." Zhuo Fan drew out 2 fingers, the air warping from the violent forces gathering at the tip's weight. The old man shouted in a panic, "I'll talk. I don't think Sir is from Ruby Cloud's sect, nor do I know why he got involved in this, but I don't think you'll tell me either way. But still, no one wants to butt in the issues of the 8 emperors, I reckon." Zhuo Fan nodded. The old man looked relieved at his attitude. "We are under the demonic emperor, tasked to go after the Ruby Cloud sect disciples and get the purple gold glazed cup. The treasure auction in Mist City has a map of the Nether Sea that everyone wants. It points the way to the Nether Sovereign's home, with the promise of becoming a sovereign, or at least a saint. By taking the Ruby Cloud sect's treasure, it could no longer participate in the bidding, giving us one less opponent to worry about." "Oh, pretty much what I figured as well." Zhuo Fan nodded, flicking his hand, letting the violent energy expand everywhere. The frozen people evaporated on contact. 50 experts died, just like that. The old man cried in anger. What are you doing? I told you everything, so why?" "You did, but I don't recall ever saying I'll let you go." With a sinister smile, Zhuo Fan said, "You hurt Qingsheng and expect to live? Huh?" The old man ground his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. "This is absurd. I didn't want to get involved with you, for fear of suffering pointless casualties. Did you really think that an emperor like me would be scared of a mere spirit king?" Boom! The old man shook and flew out of the frozen space. He started making signs, and golden lights spilled out of him. "Imperial mark, go skeleton." Whoosh! The golden lights exploded in intensity, and a skeleton hundreds of meters big appeared around him. The golden lights focused then and took the form of a 4-sided seal high in the sky, encompassing the old man and the skeleton. Zhuo Fan watched it all with a cold eye and a smirk. This was a skill particular to emperors, using one's soul and control of space to form the imperial mark, unstoppable and disregarding all spatial laws. Once the seal fell, the land would break along with any spirit king that tried fighting it. The soul's character would also be shown its full potential inside the imperial mark as well. The old man's soul was a ghost skeleton of Yin in nature, making the attack have an even harsher effect on souls the moment the golden seal appeared, spilling light everywhere. Zhuo Fan shook as he heard howls of wraiths within his mind. It dazed him for a moment, with his body wobbling. Humph! Nothing but a spirit king. You can control space, but can you take on the imperial heavenly brilliance? The old man was out for blood, shouting as the golden seal came down on top of Zhuo Fan. "Rotten cretin, I'll make mincemeat out of you now while your mind is hazy." Apocalyptic thunderflame. Zhuo Fan's left eye flared with black flames, while deep in his soul, thunderflames sparked to life. The golden glow met with a sudden blackness, erasing it and making Zhuo Fan's eyes shine. Looking up at the incoming golden seal, Zhuo Fan grinned. His right eye shone in 2 golden halos. Humph! The imperial mark might be unstoppable, but even it will suffer before my thunder flame. Divine eye of the void, second stage. Thunder flame, void, annihilation. Whoosh! A dreadful black beam of flame shot at the golden seal. The old man cried out, "What is that?" Boom! The black flames smashed into the seal and availed itself of the void annihilation's power to enter the newly formed 1/2 meter wide and hundreds of meters long hole. The old man spurted blood and paled, proving that the imperial mark and he were connected, making him suffer when it was damaged. What was worse, the black thunder flames didn't rest with only punching a hole in the seal, eating away at the remains as well. With an unearthly howl, the man screamed from having his very soul eaten away. The pain had to be excruciating, enough to make one go insane. He was constantly pleading for mercy, yet Juefan just stood to the side and watched as the seal was burned to nothing. The old man wailed in pain down to his last breath, his face twisted and horrible. It was a testament to a most gruesome death no one would wish upon anyone. I didn't use the decimating sword art on you as well, because I needed your body intact. Juefan walked over to the twisted body, chuckling. He hooked his finger and a head landed in his palm. Chapter 1198, Gambling Town. Chapter 1198, Gambling Town. Proofreader, Papatonks. Drip. The downpour had soaked the land, washing away the blood and filth, leaving no trace behind of the atrocity that happened, while giving the air an earthy scent in a damp cave, with water dripping from the stalagmites. The girl laying on a stone bed muttered, as she woke up, Where am I? Oh, Qingsheng awake yet? Juefan lit up, chuckling. I can't believe how I ended up saving you in the end. Shouldn't you pledge endless devotion now? Ha ha ha, you saved me. Chu Qingsheng was confused, trying to recall the fuzzy details. Then it all came to her in a flash, looking at Juefan with suspicion. How did you save me? They had an emperor and many spirit kings. Emperor, spirit kings? Juefan shrugged, putting on a clueless look. I didn't see any. Didn't you just leave me behind? As I tried catching up with you on the ground, I saw you lying unconscious. So I carried you here to nurse you. I never got to see anything. Chu Qingqing's eyes grew hazy. Strange, they were so ruthless, clearly wanting to kill me. I still remember that foot about to crush my head before I lost consciousness. Did they just let me go after finding I don't have it? Chu Qingsheng turned to Juefan. As if in question, Juefan shrugged. Smiling cluelessly, Chu Qingsheng thought long and hard, but still couldn't find an explanation. So she resigned to being fortunate to have come out alive. Now, she just had to catch up to her senior sisters. She just got up to her feet when she felt her waist in pain, before slumping back down. Juefan jumped to help her. What is it? Take it slow, Qingsheng. I have some bad wounds and can't move very well. Chu Qingsheng winced and took a red pill from her ring. She ate it and sighed. Now it'll be a miracle if I get to Miss City on time, let alone catching up with the others. Juefan smiled, his mind calculative. Did you forget about me already? Last time you carried me, so now I'll carry you. Yep, with you unable to fly. My running has to be way better than being stuck here, right? Chu Qingsheng yelped as he up and put her on his back, taking a long whiff of her scent while plastering a smile on his face. Oh, my wife's smell is so unlike everyone else's. I'll be sure to engrave it in my memory, to hold it close to the end of days. Bam! Chu Qingsheng smacked his head, blushing hard and chiding. Cut that out. I am not your wife. Yes, you are. Miscreant. Maybe not now, but you soon will be. You can never escape from me. Hey. Juefan held on to Chu Qingsheng's supple legs and lifted, eliciting another pleasant yelp from her before he started walking. Chu Qingsheng glared at this rotten man, but for some reason, her heart just wouldn't match her thoughts. His wide back called to her to just rest on it as a strong girl. She, of course, pushed through the thought with sheer determination. Despite her heart's constant hammering in her chest, Juefan carried his darling, asking about her life till now. Qingsheng, who gave you that name anyway? It sounds so nice, like those kingdom-toppling beauties. Is father-in-law a Chu? Stop that nonsense. Chu Qingsheng blushed again, but she replied still, Master named me when she picked me up. I heard that the ground collapsed just as Master passed by, revealing these characters, thus taking me and naming me after them. Oh, I see. Zhuo Fan nodded. That old man from my soul was very thoughtful for me. To make sure I found Qing Sheng, he left clues of her birth, but... And your parents? Didn't your master find your parents? Chu Qing Sheng lowered her head, sighing. Master said I don't have any, that she only found me alone. I always wanted to go out and find where I came from when I left the sect. Any idea where to begin? None. Chu Qing Sheng shook her head. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone, his mind making the right adjustments to the plan. Then leave it to me. I will make it clear as day. You don't believe I can do it? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, smiling. I've been roaming the world for so many years, and where I lack in strength, I'm made up with knowledge in spades. They don't call me an information broker for nothing. There's not an obscure rumor or far-fetched myth I didn't hear. The demonic emperor's high treachery or the enchanting empress's twisted love life throughout the ages. I know everything. Huh. His head snapped to the side from the blow as Chu Qingsheng yelled at him. Don't you dare vilify my master. Why would I even want to? While the crone is hardly amazing now, back in the day, you're still saying that. Fine, I'll stop. It's not like we all haven't been rash and reckless in our youth. Zhuo Fan smirked, feeling gloomy inside. What's so great about that biddy anyway? Something's definitely off here, just taking Qing Sheng to the sect and raising her. I better get those guys to look into what went on a century ago. Zhuo Fan walked on, his mind on different matters. Chu Qing Sheng saw him silent and asked, Are you angry? Oh, not at all. I could never be angry at you. Zhuo Fan beamed, Chu Qing Sheng brightened, and her heart swooned. In her joy, her head leaned on his back, at peace, and happy. Zhuo Fan caught her look and was just as content. Zhuo Fan walked with Chu Qingsheng on his back for 7 days before she finally got better. She could pretty much walk on her own and be off on her merry way. But these short days had worked to get the destined couple to grow much closer, as well as Zhuo Fan's persistent demand to guide her. Chu Qingsheng thus let him do what he wanted. With some reluctance, she ended up carrying him as they flew. Reaching the gates of Mist City, 3 months later the two entered the bustling city hand in hand. Everything drew Chu Qingsheng's eyes, amazed at any sparkling or cute thing, being her first time outside the sect. Zhuo Fan acted natural, except for that eerie light in his eyes. Qingsheng. Mist City is known as gambling town and sacred domain, with a gambling game at every corner of every street. In the city center, the treasure hoarding palace took the best spot of all gambling dens. The treasure deal you are all here for has to be held there. This is a gambling town? Isn't it Seven Treasures' sect's domain, where deals are made? It is, but the sect leader is a renowned gambler, dubbed the Gambling Emperor, making the deals made here resemble gambling. When conducting business with him, you either lose or he loses. There's no such thing as mutual satisfaction. What? Chu Qingsheng gasped. No fairness? Who on earth would bet with him for anything then? As one of the 8 emperors, who'd win against him? Zhuo Fan smiled. A true gambler knows when to accept a loss. Or there would never be anyone willing to risk gambling against such a man if there's not a chance of winning. A gambler would be down without a buddy to gamble with. That's why the gambling emperor is only letting luck decide. Regardless of the loss, he'll never go back on it. This is the rule of all gambling. The moment he breaks it, no one will ever come to his town ever again. Chu Qingsheng nodded, and then her eyes shone. Zhuo Fan, have you ever bet against him? Nah, it can't be. Why would he bet against someone like you? And you don't look to be having anything worth his time either. Oh, I did bet. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed. I offered a heaven-grade cultivation method for his heaven-grade martial art and won in the end. He ended up crying 3 whole days before he finally gave me the martial art. Chu Qingsheng gave him a long look. A bone-tempering cultivator with a heaven-grade cultivation method betting for a heaven-grade martial art? If you're going to boast, make it believable. Reading her like a book, Zhuo Fan held her gaze before finally chuckling. Qingsheng, can't believe you fell for it. Without me around, I fear someone's going to cheat you out of your spirit stones. Ha ha. Why you tricked me? Chu Ching Chang gaped, then started chasing Zhua Fan around. He played along, enjoying the rare moment. Ching Chang, what are you doing? Chapter 1199, Gambling Town's Upstart. Chapter 1199, Gambling Town's Upstart. Proofreader, Papatonks. As Senior Aunt May. Chu Ching Chang jumped in fright, looking back in anxiety where the voice came from, and stiffened like a child being caught. A woman in her 50s came over, a mid-stage empress, with sharp eyes and an ashen face, wearing plain clothes. She glared at the two, approaching with authority. Her fierce attitude only worked on girls, not on seasoned demons like Zhua Fan. Mei Sangu hasn't kicked the bucket yet? What a drag. Zhua Fan cursed her inside. Mei Sangu reached them, and her eyes never left Chu Qingqing. Behind her were Fong Min and the other girls, along with one young man. She pointed at Zhua Fan's face while cussing. Qingqing, who's this? You're a Ruby Cloud sect disciple. You're gallivanting with a man in broad daylight? The scandal. Senior Aunt, Chu Qingqing was embarrassed, stuck, unable to even introduce him. Fong Min butted in, ever unhelpful with making things worse. Senior Aunt, he's the thug we found in the forest looking for herbs a few months ago. He's nothing, but he must be one smooth talker to actually get in Junior Sister's graces to follow her here. Junior Sister, if you were looking for a man, you sure have poor tastes. Just what are you up to hanging out with a nobody like him? Ha ha ha. The other girls giggled at her expense. Senior Sister, you misunderstand. Chu Qingqing rushed to explain, but got stuck again. Mei Sangu rushed. Qingqing, just what's going on here? Explain yourself. You know very well of your master's high expectations. Don't throw it all away on a whim. Senior Aunt, just tell them already. Chu Qingqing kept stammering, so Zhua Fan intervened, grabbing her hand and declaring, "Forgive me, but she is with me now. You all better be nice to her, or else." Everyone froze, their hearts shuddering from shock. Mei Sangu could hardly believe her ears. Qingqing, why you've already? And no, we didn't do anything. Chu Qingqing blushed hard as she explained and cursed Zhua Fan. What are you saying? I'm not yours at all. Could you please stop lying to everyone? What did I ever do to you to shame me so? Zhua Fan shrugged. I'm not shaming you. You were mine to begin with. Be it now and forever. No one could take you away from me. Chu Qingqing gave him a long look, still distressed and red. But his bold declaration touched her. Ha ha ha. A bone-tempering punk goes after a Ruby Cloud sect disciple? Not even the last dead girl will be a fit for you. Humph. She's way out of your league. Fong Min laughed, throwing him a despising look, then turned to the handsome youth. Sheng, are the Sword Cloud Palace disciples allowed to have affairs with bugs? The youth smiled condescendingly. We aren't fools to resort to such absurd means. Or does Junior Sister think she is only fit for this guy? Well said, Junior Sister must surely know her worth. Huh. Fong Min loved to mock the two. Chu Qingqing hung her head with guilt, tears flowing. Mei sang aside and pulled her shoulder. Come with me, girl. You shamed us enough as it is. You're to reflect long and hard when we return. Chu Qingqing followed out of instinct. Qingqing, it's fine. Just come find me if you need anything. I'll never let them touch a hair on you. Zhua Fan shouted after the two Fong Min mocked. Boy, you're so yellow on the inside that you're now running your mouth? You call that skill? If you're a man, just go take Junior Sister from Senior Aunt May's hand. Oh, look who I'm talking to. Of course, if you do that, you'd end up flattened with Senior Aunt's temper. Brother, may I know your name? Zhua Fan only addressed the youth next to her. The guy was surprised, then sneered, I am Su Jinxing. What may I do for you? Nothing much, just meaning to give you a word of advice. Zhua Fan snickered. Catching a woman's heart is like looking for a needle in a haystack. You have to grasp what she values. Your approach won't get you anywhere, ha ha ha. Zhua Fan left him to digest that tidbit, while Fong Min and the girls stood there stunned. Fong Min asked, what did he mean by that? Probably nothing. Su Jinxing was out of sorts, making a random excuse, while his heart was in awe. He doesn't look like it, but this guy's like a love doctor or something. Go after what she values. It makes perfect sense. He butted in just now, so the junior sister would be at odds with both parties, having no choice but to go with him. What kind of person would ever want to live their lives under constant nagging? This was a clear tactic of taking advantage of the situation to get the girl to his side. They could just elope later on. Absolutely brilliant. But what's the point of getting the girl to follow him when he hasn't got the skill to fight back the Ruby Cloud sex hunters? If he can't handle them, why resort to dissent? He doesn't look like the reckless and impulsive type either. Su Jinxing couldn't figure him out. Fong Min and the girls gave him odd looks. What's with Ashing? He's been out of it, just from a couple words from that guy. How peculiar. Mei Sango brought Chu Qingcheng to a tavern in Mist City, where she interrogated her over what she went through. You're saying that you've been hurt badly, and he guided you here. You were just using him to show you the way. And that's all there is to it? Senior Aunt, that is it for now. What's that supposed to mean? Don't tell me later you. Not at all. Chu Qingcheng shook her head, and Mei Sango finally sighed. I hope so. Qingcheng, you're the favorite disciple of my senior sister. Don't do anything that will bring the sex shame. Since it was just a misunderstanding, we can let it go. But next time, you're to stay clear of men. Understand? Yes. Chu Qingcheng squeaked. Mei Sangu gestured for her to leave. Go and get some rest for 2 days. In 3 days, the exchange gathering will commence. We have to get the Nether Sea map. Yes. Chu Qingcheng was downcast as she left, with Mei Sangu sighing from behind. Girls yearn for love. We better find them a betrothal instead of having some egotistical cheat toy with them. Zhuofan held a green jade slip, following the map inside to the center of town, to a large courtyard guarded by 2 Genesis stage experts. This is the place. Zhuofan's eyes shone. The 2 guards blocked him as he tried going inside. Halt. Only honored guests of Mist City stay here. Laborers have no place here. Step aside, I'm one of them. You? Sizing him up, the 2 mocked. Have you ever seen some bone-tempering bug treated as a guest? I'm from a Luo clan, now move. Luo clan. The 2 started, but their disdain of Zhuofan never diminished. Kid, now you're trying to scare us? The Luo clan became an honored guest only a month ago. They squandered billions of sacred stones and earned our city lord's personal invitation here. They have many experts, of which over 20 spirit kings. Yet you're saying there's also you somewhere in there? Zhuofan's face sank. Then just call someone from the Luo clan, and it will all be made clear. Why? Is a bug worthy of the audience of such an important guest? Steward Zhuo. A cry came just then as Li Jingtian rushed over upon noticing Zhuo. Steward Zhuo, you're finally here. You almost made my heart stop with your year-long disappearance. Ugh. The guards blinked in stupefaction, a silly smile on their faces. Surely, why you know him? He is the Luo clan's head steward. Be nice to him, or any slight done to Steward Zhuo is a slight to the entire Luo clan. We'll be sure to settle this debt. Li Jingtian gave them a tongue lashing and grabbed Zhuofan's arm with a smile. Steward Zhuo, we did as you said in the jade slip and spent a ton of money without a care. We almost bought the whole town. Haha. Good. In 3 days at the treasure gathering, we must succeed. Zhuofan's eyes shone as he left with Li Jingtian. The 2 guards were still staring with goony looks, their faces twitching. What's a powerful clan doing with a bone-tempering nobody for a head steward? From the looks of Sir Li, they value him greatly too. Chapter 1200, Treasure Gathering. Chapter 1200, Treasure Gathering. Proofreader, Papatonks. 3 days later, at the treasure hoarding palace, placed in the center of Mist City, an endless crowd had gathered. Some were officials, others were average people, but they were all there for the great treasure exchange, though that was just a fancy word for gambling. As most treasures were never seen in public, some would end up spending a fortune, only to get nothing in return. Others had the fortune of using just 10 spirit stones and becoming set for life. This was the thrill of gambling, fraught with dangers, but the potential to win a reward so valuable that it could put you in power overnight. Everyone here walked in line. For on this day, there was no status separating anyone as they entered the hall and got to their seats. The place housed hundreds of thousands, gathered around a stage where the city lord of Mist City awaited today. He was not just the city lord, but the host for the occasion, with this exchange holding some very incredible items. He had to come out and handle this big event involving powerful people. Taking a deep breath, the man of the hour overlooked the stands, tensing as he lingered a moment longer on the 9 covered private booths. Therein were the other representatives of the 8 emperors. All were a headache to deal with and could trash this place without fear of consequences. It unnerved him, but he tried to focus and calm his mind. We've been here for a month, yet still haven't seen the city lord such a nervous wreck. In one of the booths, Li Jingtian glanced at the fretful man and turned to the other booths. Stewardwa, today we're up against the 8 emperors, in the open no less, but isn't it a bit too early with barely a year of preparations? Even Miss City Lord isn't ready to face the others, and he has the gambling emperor behind him. Zhua Fan sat in a cozy chair. Yes, the risk is great, but we have to grasp the opportunity. It's the best chance we have of involving ourselves in the 8 emperors conflict. Who's to say there'll be a next one? Also, didn't I say I'll be taking the lead in this? Young Miss Morong, what are you two even doing here? Zhua Fan looked back at the 2 girls. As the young miss of the Luo clan, I have to be present at such a huge event. Luo Yunchang shrugged from her own fancy chair. Murong Shui gave him a look. I'm not about to miss out on the chance of seeing the sacred domain's big shots. So far, it doesn't look any different from the mortal domain. If it's all the same, why come? Bali Yu rolled her eyes. We're here to show these big names in sacred domain what we're made of, not strut about. You're both here for nothing. Hey, don't talk like that. Who's in charge of the clan here anyway? Settle down now. As they were about to bicker again, Zhua Fan intervened. Since we're all here, might as well enjoy it. Young Miss Luo is correct, though. At such an important event, a steward isn't enough to represent the clan head's intentions. It's only normal for the young miss to be here. Luo Yunchang rose an eyebrow, shooting Bali Yu a smug look. The cold lady huffed and flicked her head away. The others chuckled at their antics. Bang. A deafening ringing echoed as a bell was struck. The stands went quiet, with the city lord walking forward with a smile. Guests, the 1784th treasure exchange gathering begins. Be it the poor or the rich, this very hall offers the same opportunity to all, an opportunity to change their destiny. Life is hard and cruel, so don't wait for it to get better. Take out everything you have and go after those treasures. The crowd went wild. We'll start off with our first item of the day. At City Lord's shout, guards pushed in a trolley. It had a black cover, blocking any prying eyes as the host gave his speech. This is a fascinating spiritual weapon for the ladies and an obsession for the men. It is a treasure that drives shock into all. You can't possibly imagine the world could ever have something so incredible. What is it, you ask? The eyes below the stage glittered, trying their best to guess what this amazing bauble could be behind that thin veil. With a cryptic smile, the city lord resumed, I don't know it, and neither do any of you. Per custom, it can be something grand and unique, or as common as dirt. Let the blind bidding commence, and may the highest bidder win. Opportunity rarely knocks in one's lifetime, people. Don't miss your chance at glory. 100,000 spirit stones. A shout echoed the instant he finished riling up the crowd, followed by a flood of others. 1 million. I must have it. It has to be amazing to make women fascinated and men obsessed. 5 million. The people whispered, then checked their pockets to see if they could afford it. Some had the means, but not the will to step in, for fear of going bust. Zhua Fan sneered at the bivalent crowd. That's the gambling emperor's ploy, all right. Plant to hike up the bidding. That means the item must be junk to raise it so high. Why? People would feel sorry spending a fortune over something cheap, but it garners attention, while buying something valued with a lower price would cause excitement and greed. All these years, the gambling emperor has been using this trick to cheat people out of their money. It's an old tactic, but there's plenty of people out there who would fall for it all the same. Zhua Fan shook his head in disdain. Li Jingtian nodded. Yeah, but what kind of fools would fall for it? Do you need to ask? Us, of course. Li Jingtian flinched. Steward Zhua, You know it's a trick, yet still go for it. What else do you expect from an upstart? You're saying all those sacred stones you wasted the past month are to be for nothing? Zhua Fan smiled. The Grand Eight Emperors are high up on their throne, and hardly anyone could get close. The best way is to find some dumb and gullible moneybags. Who wouldn't want a friend, pawn like that? That's how you gain value, by joining their circle, taking back what you lost plus interest. Li Jingtian grinned. Steward Zhua, you always look ahead. Then let's bid, but what's the price at right now? 8 million. Then we'll add one more. 10 million. A shout came first before Zhua Fan got the chance. Filled with power Zhua Fans, I twitched looking over. One of the 8 emperors. Asheng, we're not here to have some bet with the gambling emperor, nor do we have so many spirit stones. The map is all that matters. In the booth where the last bid came from, an elder with white eyebrows eyed Su Jinxing with a grave look. Su Jinxing smiled. Senior uncle, I'm buying with my own money for a girl. As long as she likes it, the price won't matter. It won't affect the sex coffers by a single stone. He then gave Fong Min a dazzling smile. She felt her insides tingle. Then she preened at her junior sister. See that? My man knows how to please his girl. Envious much? Ha ha ha. The girls nodded like good children, with only Chu Qingcheng depressed, her mind always on Zhua Fan. Sir Lu. Ashing looks smitten with Amin. It won't be long before they tie the knot. Ha ha ha. Third Aunt May giggled, showing her white teeth, a stark difference from how she acted around Zhua Fan, and Qingcheng in her mind was another matter. However, Amin is good at this, having the kid wrapped around her finger. Humph! Let him waste his money on the junk, and then they won't have anything left to bid for the Nether Sea map. Damn broad, going as far as using a honey trap. The elder frowned, reading her like a book. He says he's using his own money, but isn't your pocket money taken from the sect? We're in gambling town, and he should know its standards. What if you're wasting just that little bit of money? We might need to place a winning bid at the very end. How is that going to help the sect? The elder glared hard at Su Jinxing. He caught his meaning, but showed no reaction. Chasing girls is pricey. That guy used the elder's nagging to make the last fall for him, then elope. I'll just use money to buy a girl's heart. Isn't that the same? And regarding eloping, bringing the Ruby Cloud sect's head senior sister over to the Sword Emperor's sect will earn me bragging rights. Some glittering rocks can't ever compare to that. 20 million. Zhua Fan shouted an even higher bid. Chapter 1201, A Moneybag Style. Chapter 1201, A Moneybag Style. Proofreader, Papatonks. Su Jinxing's face twitched and fell, glaring at the other booth. Senior uncle, who is that? Oh, that must be the Luo clan. The old man squinted and said, they're not with them, just a group that got fame from throwing their money around in Gambling Town recently. Nothing but moneybags. Nothing. They go after 8 Emperor's people without any backing? I can't lose now. What about Sword Emperor's sex reputation? Su Jinxing shouted, 30 million. Jinxing. The elder snapped a little too late. Youths could never handle a challenge right. Irking for a fight at the slightest provocation. 30 million was his yearly allowance for training. It was all thrown over some unknown useless bauble. The old man cursed him for being a sore loser, while Fong Min rejoiced under the second-hand attention. Zhua Fan casually replied, sacred stones. The entire stands were stirring, with all eyes fixed on his booth in shock. 20 million sacred stones over some random crap? That was no longer betting, but throwing cash around. What kind of money bags are behind that curtain? Su Jinxing choked, grimacing, unable to face Fong Min's hopeful eyes and choosing to direct all his hatred at the enemy. Bastard, who the hell are these Luos? Throwing away 20 million sacred stones like garbage? Do they run out of spirit stones? This is absurd. They got more money than a Sword Emperor disciple. The senior uncle was stunned, but sighed in relief. I'm glad this wastrel got his desires curbed. Honored Luo clan. Are you sure you want to bet 20 million sacred stones on this? The city lord was taken aback, as well all eyes awaited for the booth's reply. City lord, we only have sacred stones, and will only be using them from now on. Boom! The hall exploded with clamor, never leaving the booth out of their sight. They all heard of the Luo clan's deep pockets, but to think they were bottomless, they used sacred stones right off the bat, and they would keep doing it. What were the rest supposed to bet then? Many clutched their heads, grimacing out of futility to deal with this upstart looking at the crowd. The city lord stuck to his role. The Luo clan bid 20 million sacred stones on this item. Is there anyone else who bids more? Silent as the grave, no one at all. The city lord tried, seeing no reaction. He declared, "Then the fascination of women and obsession of men shall go to the Luo clan." The city lord threw his arm and uncovered the trolley to reveal a dazzling prismatic hairpin, decorated with 18 crystalline pearls of incredible clarity that mesmerized the crowd. The girls in particular looked spellbound, holding them under its mystical spell. Prismatic virtuous hairpin, created from refined metal 180 times and adorned with pearls, each priceless. As a woman, wearing such a pearl hairpin would magnify their beauty, emphasize their elegance, and perfect their image, the city lord went on. Alas, it can't be considered anything more than a hairpin. Any man that would buy it is bound to have their hearts bleed and regret going home with this trinket. The audience burst out in laughter, most of which were men, of course. As for the women, they were just enamored with the pearl hairpin. The Ruby Cloud sect women, even Mei Sangu, weren't any different, their eyes sparkling like that of a young girl. Fong Min bit her lip, giving Su Jinxing a reproachful look. "You're useless. You couldn't even buy a hairpin." "Sister Min, it's good that he didn't. It's nothing but a pointless decoration worth less than 100 spirit stones." "As if. It has its uses and I wanted it." Fong Min whined like a spoiled brat. Chu Qingchang nodded at the side, envious. "Sure, it's not valuable, but it'll be nice to be able to wear it just once." "You? Huh?" Fong Min scoffed. "No amount of hairpins will work on someone as hopeless as you." Chu Qingchang pouted with a lowered head. The city lord turned to the Luo clan to say, "Of course, a sword is worthy of a hero, as makeup is sublime on a lady. We've been mocking its value only from a man's standpoint. For a woman, however, especially a breathtaking beauty as young Miss Luo, it is another matter entirely. With your wealth, it is not just about money when bidding on the hairpin, but a must-have accessory. Take the hairpin to young Miss Luo." "Yes." An attendant took the trolley with the item. All the eyes that glittered as the item passed belonged solely to women, filled with envy. "Hold." A voice from the booth came, "Give this hairpin to Ruby Cloud Sect's young Miss Chu Qingcheng." Everyone got rowdy again, all whispering as they turned in Ruby Cloud Sect's direction. Luo clan just threw away 20 million sacred stones just so it can gift it to Ruby Cloud Sect? Are they their backers? The Ruby Cloud Sect group was baffled as well. Fong Min turned eager to Mei Sangu. "Senior aunt, is the Luo clan with us?" The elder stared at her hard, tense. With Ruby Cloud Sect having such a wealthy branch, it will make the last bidding dangerous. "I don't know. Sect leader didn't tell me anything. Were they sent to help?" Mei Sangu was floundering. An attendant brought the item over, bowing. "Senior, who might Miss Qingchang be?" Whoosh. All eyes focused on Chu Qingchang, who looked out of sorts as she raised a hand. The attendant smiled and bowed again as he presented the hairpin. "As Miss heard, the Luo clan's master gifts you this. Please take it, Miss." "Oh." Chu Qingchang operated on reflex at this point, too overwhelmed to speak. Before she did reach it, however, another hand flicked the cover and moved to grab it right in her face with a cold eye. The attendant dodged the insidious hand, staring at the owner. "Miss, you're not Chu Qingcheng, and I can't give it to you. I'm the head senior sister of Ruby Cloud Sect, Fong Min. If Luo clan told you to give Ruby Cloud Sect the time, then why can't I have it?" Fong Min's eyes burned with jealousy as she grinded her teeth. The man spat. "Master Luo bought the hairpin, and it's our duty to give it to the rightful owner. Gambling Town abides by this rule. Since her wish for young Miss Qingcheng of Ruby Cloud Sect to have it, it's clear that it doesn't belong to the sect itself." "Damn you. Minner, stop making a scene. You're only making a fool of yourself." Fong Min was about to flip out, but Mei Sang shouted. She then smiled. Ching Chung, it's his gift, so take it. Chu Ching Chung nodded with a smile, taking the item offered by the attendant and adorning the hairpin in her hair. The clothes made the man, or the woman in this case, as the hairpin blended flawlessly with the perfect girl, turning her otherworldly. Chapter 1202, Gambling Stage. Chapter 1202, Gambling Stage. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ching Chung, did you find her? Luo Yunchong heard Zhua Fan shouting and flinched. Did I hear right? Is she from Ruby Cloud's sect? Zhua Fan nodded and eased a long breath. Yes, it's truly unfortunate that she is so close to Ruby Cloud's sect. It's sure to make things worse at one point. Then, congratulations. Li Jingtian muttered, looking strained. Zhua Fan cared not, saying, Elderly, there's something strange about the secrecy around Qingcheng in Ruby Cloud's sect. Look into it, as well as what events happened 100 years ago. I have a feeling the hag is setting her up for something. Sure, Steward Zhua, I'll go check it out later. Thanks. Zhua Fan frowned, his mind elsewhere. The city lord once again announced. Ladies and gentlemen, as well as seniors, the first item found an owner, but you needn't fret, for our second item is far more precious. Bring it in. 30 million. The city lord flinched, looking again at the Luo clan booth with a twitchy eye. Yes, sir. I've yet to call out the starting price. Who cares? I just gotta have it. Boom. The stands were taken by storm once more. The first item's only clue to its value was the city lord's base price, but now that was shot out the window, placing a sky-high bid off the bat regardless if it was junk or diamonds. Though it would be such a shame for those 30 million sacred stones if it ended up being a bust. Thinking about it from a different angle. What shame would there be if they're filthy rich? The real question is, just how loaded are they to burn so much money? The focus of the gathering has changed from betting to figuring out the mystery behind the Luo clan. Where did they come from? The city lord sighed, but stuck to his role, calling it thrice. Anyone else? Anyone at all? Someone? Everyone was silent. Knowing nothing about that thing on the stage, and already having a 30 million bid on it, no one would be insane to take such unwarranted risk. The item goes to the Luo clan. The city lord slammed his gavel. What is it, you might ask? Let us see. Give it to young Miss Qingcheng from Ruby Cloud sect, thanks. Zhua Fan cut him off, making the city lord stumble. He gave a powerless and strained sigh as he said, Sir, you don't even wish to know what you bought. No, since everything will be delivered to young Miss Qingcheng. Zhua Fan's tone was irreproachable. The city lord gave a casual wave, sending the attendant with the item. Everyone watched as the unknown item moved away. This never happened once in the history of Miss City Ruby Cloud Sex Group. Was dumbfounded. Who's Luo clan? Why are they just giving us stuff? They want to work their way into our good graces? Yeah, that's how to be it. But why then are they sending it to just one person, the youngest disciple? That was what had these girls stumped. So began an endless trail of unknown items sent to Chu Qingsheng with every outrageous bid from Zhua Fan. Before the city lord ever got to rile up the crowd, Chu Qingsheng had to do nothing and found herself swimming in treasures with a blank look. As for the people coming here for the thrill of betting, they were left powerless against such money bags, turning into props to make him look good since he won all the items with an impossible price the others had. Nothing on him. It was a sad day for any gambler, a dreamer, or a plain addict. It mattered not the heavy loss or the crushing defeat, but being unable to bet. The city lord felt the worst of it by far. With every dreaded call from Zhua Fan, an item was bought without even being able to get a word in. The only dignity as host remaining was to call the next item. It was a sad, sad day for him now that all the items were gone. It was City Lord's time to shine once more. With the commodities over, we would first like to thank our honored Luo clan for being our greatest investor. The next item shall be the greatest the city has ever seen. The 8 emperors of the sacred domain shall now compete over our last item, Nether Sea Map. Others are welcome to join, so long as you can stomach it and have the strength to back it. Ha ha ha. 8 emperors? The tired or bored gamblers thought the last item might be their time to shine. They were happy chasing the thrill, even if it meant losing the shirt off their backs. Hearing 8 emperors being mentioned, however, woke them up on the spot. You kidding me? Bet with the 8 emperors? I'm too young to die. Not a sound was made in the entire hall, with the audience feeling a chill down their backs. The city lord gave them a cold smile, then smirked at the Luo clan's booth. You can have the world's wealth in your pocket, but not even you have the gall to challenge these powerhouses. 8 emperors representatives. This is a request from the gambling emperor. Please present your bids on the table so that the winner can be declared without any hard feelings. Bring chairs and a table. Someone brought a large table and 7 seats. The city lord smiled, being the first to face it and take out a gray map to display it on the table. The people in the booths huffed and made their way out, including Mei Sanga's group, each looking impressive. The audience had their first glimpse of real power. What does the gambling emperor intend with this? Give his town a show? Yeah, as each of us are people of repute, why should we bother giving these people any consideration by showing our competition? Does the gambling emperor want to inflate his image? Are you planning on leading all of the other emperor representatives by the nose? Curses and sneers sounded at the table as each representative took their seats, with their people standing behind. The city lord smiled. People, since you came to Gambling Town, you must gather around the betting table. The Nether Sea map can't just be given, since the gambling emperor has been wanting the Nether Sovereign's seat of enlightenment as well. Why invite us here for? Betting. The city lord's eyes shone, showing a sinister smile. We can't sell it to you, but we can lose it as long as you have the means to win it. Maysanga squinted and huffed. Fine, and how do we play? I'm sure the common games of chance are beneath such fine people, so we'll be using riddles. Guessing right makes you the winner. In case of a draw, the house wins. The city lord smirked. Riddle. The 7 people nodded. Fine, then let the games begin. Wait. To the shock of everyone in there, a shout came from the Luo clan booth. At another seat. The Luo clan is joining. What? The crowd stirred. The Luo clan is competing with the 8 emperors? Is it suicidal? Or do they have backing? The representatives themselves were taken aback, each trying to guess their history. With such nerves of steel, there had to be something else to join such a bet. Did they represent Sacred Mountain? The city lord smiled. Bring another seat. There's plenty of room around the betting table. One empty chair appeared on the side of the large table, with everyone fixed on it with strange gazes. The Luo clan walked out of their booth and made their way down. Chu Qingsheng and Ruby Cloud sex girls gasped. You? What are you doing here? As part of the Luo clan, it's only natural that I follow young miss. Something wrong? Zhua Fan beamed, walking in front. His mysterious manner gave others no means of reading him. Chapter 1203 Treasure Competition. Chapter 1203 Treasure Competition. Proofreader, Papatonks. Startled, Chu Qingsheng stared at Zhua Fan, getting more confused by the second. The other girls couldn't wrap their heads how a magnate like the Luo clan would take in bone-tempering garbage. Zhua Fan couldn't care less about what they thought, smiling at one particular girl. Qingsheng, did you like what I gave you? Ah, you gave them to me. Yes, did you like them? Zhua Fan sighed. Sorry for giving you random things. We were only together for a short time and couldn't tell what you'd like, so I just gave you everything to pick the right one for you. If you don't like anything, just throw them away. But tell me what you like, so I'll be sure to pick the best for you next time. Oh, it's fine, they're all nice. Chu Qingsheng blushed red-hot, lowering her head as her heart blossomed in her chest. Zhua Fan smiled. Nice? What were they then, since I couldn't see? Tell me all about them, so I can give you more in the future. You don't have to waste your money. Humph, he didn't waste anything, especially since he didn't even want that stuff. So he just showered you with them while he was at it. You really think he'll do it again? Fong Min was stewing in her jealousy as she scoffed. Master Luo must have bought all that to show off, regardless what stuff it was. Who knows what the punk must have said to his master to gain the right to handle such garbage. He's nowhere near capable of getting millions of sacred stones from his master just to burn them for you. Yeah, he's just a lucky bastard to have such a nice master take him in. What a shame to have picked dirt from the ground. Of course, he has no say over his master's money. not to give it to you at least. Su Jinxing was also irked. Junior sister, you better stay away from him. He's nothing but a lapdog. Do you wish to rely on someone's charity? Chu Qingcheng looked hurt, giving Zhuo Fan a long look before saying, Senior sister, but he's really nice. Even if he didn't buy all of that, just as thoughtful. Come again? Dumping the stuff his master didn't want on you is thoughtful? Dumb girl, are you so cheap? Fong Min glared hard, then turned to Mei Sangu. Senior aunt, shouldn't you handle this? Junior sister Qingcheng is being misled. Mei Sangu gave Zhuo Fan a cold look, speaking to the seated Luo Yunchang. Girl, leash your servant from his obnoxious flirting. Hey, old bat, it's you who should tighten the chain on those she-dogs. Their incessant barking is driving us nuts. Luo Yunchang bit back the audience, gaped the Luo clan, just taunted an emperor's representative. How cool is that? Just who are they? Mei Sangu was nearing her 10th millennium, yet just got insulted by a wee girl. Of course she'd explode, slapping the table and flaring her aura at Luo Yunchang. You have some nerve, dumb girl. Whoosh. A figure flashed in front of Luo Yunchang, spreading his cold aura to counter Mei Sangu's temper. Meeting in an explosive clash, Mei Sangu shook, her heart in shock. Bali Yu fell back, glaring at Mei Sangu in challenge. Old bat, not bad at all. How did this miss? Mei Sangu sized Bali Yu up, shocked by the second. The rest were baffled while also raising the Luo clan's importance in their minds. Mei Sangu was a tested and true emperor stage expert, but Bali Yu was a mere spirit king. Despite the gap, they were matched. No wonder the Luo clan joined the 8 emperors fray. The representatives' hearts sank, no longer dismissing them. The audience was restless. Bali Yu took a deep breath, turning to Zhuo Fan, who only had eyes for Chu Qingcheng. Steward Zhuo, you caused this mess, yet you're flirting to the side? Yeah, Steward Zhuo, you said you wanted to bet, so we came along. Why should you stay behind and relax while I'm taking it over for you? Luo Yunchang gave him a smile, her tone bitter. Steward. Chu Qingcheng started. Why your Luo clan steward? The rest were astonished. How did a bone-tempering cultivator end up being a magnate steward? Don't they care about power when headhunting? I'll explain later. With a wide smile, Zhuo Fan rushed back. Leaving Chu Qingcheng in confusion, Zhuo Fan reached Luo Yunchang, and she casually seated her seat. Li Jingtian tidied it up before gesturing to Zhuo Fan to take it with utmost respect. The audience was staring dumbstruck as the Luo clan's steward took the seat of honor. But why? The city lord gave him a long look of confusion, but knew he was valued, so he also treated the steward with the respect he deserved, regardless of cultivation. Sir Zhuo, so young and so promising. Thank you, city lord. We may now begin the bet. Gladly. The city lord nodded and addressed the 8 people at the table. With all participants in order, I shall now speak of the rules. First of all, money dictates the chips you hold. The more you have, the easier to advance and become a house. The poorest needs to win bouts with the house to stay in the game. The instant he loses, it's game over. Mei Sangu squinted, which means you take turns playing. The city lord snickered. Let's say, for example's sake, that we both take our treasures. If mine proves to be worth more, then I'm the house and you have to bet against me. Win, and you get everything to bet with the next contender. Beat all the others and you'll be crowned victorious. The people gasped. So before we get to challenge you, we first have to fight among each other? That means all the treasures might end with you while we get nothing. Yes, such a possibility exists, but it so happens that I'm the holder of the priceless Nethersea map. All the treasures here can't hope to come close to it. That makes me, as a matter of course, the final house. Before that, however, give your all. One more thing, the first bettor has an advantage. He might have 2 treasures and can be a house. Their faces sank and gnashed their teeth. The gambling emperor was evil, getting all of them to duke it out and still having a high chance of losing everything at the very end. The map was his, and so would be their treasures. We get nothing. Folding, however, was not an option. Either stealing, on the other hand, would leave dire consequences to everyone here. It was a different item from that Nine Serenity's secret records. It had instant use. While this was merely a guiding tool, it was not worth waging war over something so vague the contenders finally made their decision. Nodding. Let's do this. Whoosh. Mei Sangu revealed her prismatic cup. This is Ruby Cloud Sec's core treasure, purple gold glazed cup, a 4th grade sacred weapon. The demonic emperor allowed me to bring the demonic gauntlet, a 3rd grade sacred weapon. An old man with black hair sighed as he threw in a claw with dark energy oozing out. He knew it was less than the purple gold glazed cup. Zhuofan's eyes shook. It was his finest work back in the day, given to his treacherous disciple. To think I'd see it here. The other representatives took out their own as well, some 4th other 3rd grade. The highest, however, belonged to the Sword Emperor, Howling Sword, 5th grade. The others gasped. This guy could become the second house. He doesn't seem to mind using something so valuable in a bet. The city lord went by the book as he turned to Zhuofan. Luo clan, the item of your choosing. Magnates like them only have money. They have no legacy, only building their wealth over time. Humph. Fong Min found the right moment to mock them. Zhuofan smiled, and in a shower of light, a draconic roar echoed. The gaudy glow had them gawking. Chapter 1204, Brutal. Chapter 1204, Brutal. Proofreader, Papatonks. Clink. The light trailed over their heads and landed on the table, revealing the glorious and ostentatious 3-meter-long sword, with even a dragon scale on it. No less. The city lord's face twitched. Peak 5th grade sacred weapon? It's close to 6th grade, even a true rarity in the sacred domain. That's far from all. City Lord, would you care to take a closer look upon the way it was made? This is by no means amateur work, nor your average 5th grade sacred weapon. Luo Yunchang raised an eyebrow in pride. The city lord bobbed his head. Indeed, young Miss Luo is right. The maker has instilled his peak sword arts into it, making it even have a spirit. Incredible. I fear not even a 6th grade sacred weapon might compare. It's a certainty, not just a possibility. Zhuofan grinned as he pointed out, City Lord, look here, could anyone get their hands on such ingredients? The City Lord took a closer look and gasped in shock. Why, you mean to say it's made with a scale from a Dragon King from the Dragonlands? The audience widened their eyes and cried out. Even the representatives were shaken up as they stared in disbelief. They have the nerve to have a sacred weapon made of a Dragon King scale? Do they have a death wish? Why, young Miss Luo, don't you know if the dragons from the Dragonlands find out? H. City Lord's face twitched hard. Barely finding the words to speak, Zhuofan waved off his concern. City Lord, relax. We don't fear them, which is why we've taken it out. A Dragon King is a peak 10th level spiritual beast, stronger than the average emperor. We took 1 scales to make a weapon out of it. Yet we'd be scared to let them find out? Ha ha ha. I see. Th. City Lord gave a bright smile, his heart racing as his image of Luo clan grew in his mind. Dragons were kings among spiritual beasts, with many powerful beings among them. Not even the 7 sacred mountains would mess with them, but the Luo clan did. Just who has their backs? Everyone's disdain of them was cut short then, and there the City Lord gave them a long look, then declared, People, I believe you all know the value of a 5th grade sacred weapon. All of your treasures combined can't even match Luo clan and Sword Emperor's items, each, with Luo clans being slightly better. Besides me, Luo clan is the final house, followed by the Sword Emperor representative, then all of you according to your treasures. Objections? It's plain to see this is fair, so of course there aren't any. A grimacing old man took the demonic gauntlet as he turned to savage-looking young master. Wraith Scholar, your shadow veil is 4th grade. As the demonic emperor's representative, bet with me, with you being the house. The scholar had a creepy smile as he fanned himself with a ghastly fan, nodding, Sure, I shall be happy to face thousand-faced devil. You ask first. No, it's your right as the house. With pleasure. Pa. Snapping the fan closed, the scholar said, Answer me this. Was it the demonic emperor the one who destroyed the 36 gates of Demon Light Castle, 3 years ago. Thousand-faced devil's face shook, stammering, "Wraith Scholar, why do you say that? Didn't you investigate and found it to be the Falcon Emperor?" "Yes, we thought so as well, but after fighting among each other and suffering losses, it was the demonic emperor who took advantage of the gap to step in." "How do you explain that? What's so strange about them relying on the demonic emperor for protection to avoid casualties?" "None, actually, but in our war, neither side won, with the prideful demonic emperor expanding his domain for thousands of miles. It baffled both of us." Wraith Scholar snickered as he stared thousand-faced devil down. "You're his right-hand man, so I would like to hear it from you. Spare us both the trouble of lying. It won't work." "Everyone here knows, I'm sure, just that there is no proof. The gambling emperor is known to be fair at the gambling table. If his people judge it to be a lie, you shall become the loser." Taking a deep breath, thousand-faced devil eyed the cold city lord. He already had a decision in mind and knew the truth. "Fine, I admit it to be the demonic emperor's doing. But that's because I only needed that cleared up. You win." Wraith Scholar snickered as he pushed his treasure over. "The Wraith Emperor will be sure to join the Falcon Emperor to settle this debt with the demonic emperor. Tell him to be ready for a reckoning." Thousand-faced devil's face twitched as he took it. "I will tell him. Farewell." Wraith Scholar stood up and cupped his hands. "Thank the gambling emperor for his fairness. I shall now take my leave." The others looked puzzled as he went. "Isn't this supposed to be a riddle? How come it became truth or dare?" Bam! Thousand-faced devil slapped the table in anger. "City Lord, is this the gambling emperor's intention? The gambling emperor only proposed betting, not involving himself in your issues. Now Sir has 2 items and can be the house." The city lord smiled. Thousand-faced devil was outraged, but he held it in. Gambling emperor knew all along what happened then. He kept it hidden for so long not to gain hatred. With the 2 having no proof of hanging it over the demonic emperor's head, they could do nothing today. However, he had no choice but to admit it, thus giving them an excuse. It wasn't his fault, though, since the demonic emperor gave him strict orders to get that map. If he denied it, he would have gotten back only to die. The demonic emperor's cruelty was well known. Taking a deep breath, thousand-faced devil could only keep going. The demonic emperor was already tough enough not to fear the other 2. All that mattered was the map, so he turned to the Falcon Emperor's representative to shout, "I'm the house now, please." The grizzled old man met his challenge. Thousand-faced devil did have some skill, though, using his cunning and favoritism to pave his way forward and win many treasures. He was now facing Ruby Cloud's sect. How many stars are in the sky? With so many shining, who can say? Can you? Mei Sangu retorted. Thousand-faced devil snickered and shook his head. "I don't either," making this a draw. "But I'm the house, so that makes it my win. Hand it over." Thousand-faced devil threw the purple gold glaze cup in his bag. Ruby Cloud's sex group was stumped. Mei Sangu stammered, "Wait, I've yet to ask my question." "You did, but does that not count?" City Lord smiled and shrugged. "Gambling Town is fair. Your question was the same as his, and with neither knowing the answer, the house won." The women grimaced. Zhuofan chuckled. The devil now turned to the old man with the white eyebrows, taking out his treasures as he spoke with hatred. "Brother Liu, listen closely to my question." "Wait." The old man smiled and said, "I'm the house, so I go first." "Go ahead. Guess how many toes I had on my 5,000th birthday?" Thousand-faced devil looked down at his shoes, making a wild guess. 10. "I've never heard of you suffering heavy wounds and shouldn't have anything cut off." The old man grinned, taking out a shoe to reveal all his 5 toes. Then his eyes shone and pointed. A bloody toe splattered on the floor. The old man sweated as he laughed. "Today's my 5,000th birthday and only have 9 toes. You lose, thousand-faced devil." "That's brutal." Thousand-faced devil gave him a long look, wanting to refute, but he pushed the treasure over. "Fine, old man, I lost." Now Liu was the house. Even in a draw with Sword Emperor, thousand-faced devil would still lose. "Kid, it's our turn." The old man wiped his brow, dragging his bleeding foot to Zhuofan with a forced smile. What welcomed him was a smirk. Chapter 1205, Headache. Chapter 1205, Headache. Proofreader, Papatonks. Looking down at the blood, the ghastly scene made even Ruby Cloud's sex girls cover their eyes. It shocked them to the core to find someone so resolute to even harm themselves. Joie Fan looked back up, giving the old man a snicker. Senior, you're playing hardball? Kid, youths have little experience. There are plenty of savager people in the world than me. You'll meet them later. Letting this little frighten you proves you have no place on this stage. Ha ha ha. Sir's lesson is right. I hope Sir will go easy on me. You're making it hard for these old bones. The Sword Emperor must have that map. I urge you to withdraw. Kid, you don't understand the world of adults. The old man patronized Chu Ching-chung was worried for Joie Fan. He looked wise and bold. Making her feel like a kid would be no match for him. I just hope he won't push it and get hurt in the process. Joie Fan's I held an eerie glow as he offered. Please. Kid, the young fear nothing, but will only end up broken. The old man stared at him, extending his wounded leg. Kid, the same question. How many toes did I have on my 5,000th birthday? Joie Fan snickered. With Senior having 9, then it must be 9. Ha ha, kid. You think I wouldn't cut another off? The old man drew his fingers and shot for the leg, and another bloody toe fell. The old man bore through the pain, looking smug. Wrong, it's 8. The people side against such a question. No one could guess as long as he keeps cutting off his toes. The kid met his match in an aged scoundrel. Whoosh! A black light flashed, and the old man loose shook. Below him, blood spilled like a flood, followed by a searing pain. The old man howled as he fell to the ground, leaving 2 intact feet in the pooling blood. Joie Fan stood across, holding a black longsword glowing eerily. I was wrong after all. I mustn't know anything, I guess. But it looks like Senior was wrong as well. You didn't have 8 toes on your 5,000th birthday, but none, huh? Everyone shivered as their eyes bugged out. The old guy was the Sword Emperor's representative, that nobody dared to offend. Now a bone-tempering nobody did. Wait, how did he get the strength to cut an emperor's feet off? Chu Ching-chung was frightened. She never saw Joie Fan cut someone down, but the familiar scene had her hesitating. Is he the same brat I've been cursing all this time? Senior uncle, are you all right? Su Jinxing rushed to his side, then glared at Joie Fan. Why you dare? Joie Fan cut him off. What? Since Senior can change the outcome, why can't I? City Lord, how do we settle this round? Thigh. The City Lord's face twitched, giving him an odd look. He didn't think this kid with low cultivation had it in him to be so cruel. Joie Fan grinned. I knew City Lord was fair, but that was his question, and now comes mine. Although, Senior doesn't look to be in shape to continue. Switch, maybe? Humph, rotten punk. I'll take his place to bet with you. Su Jinxing gnashed his teeth and stepped forward. He then felt his senior uncle pulling his sleeve as he lay in his own blood. Looking worried, Senior uncle. Ashing, you're not his match. The old man was trembling as he looked at Joie Fan's vile smile. I was wrong. He's no youth, but a conniving old monster. Boy, you won't win. Su Jinxing couldn't believe his ears. He was a great peak stage spirit king, yet he couldn't win against a bone-tempering punk. The other youths on stage looked baffled. Only a few veterans caught his meaning. Mei Sangu as well could see that Joie Fan's eyes were beyond shifty. Her opinion of him changing in a fright. The slash was too clean and without hesitation, coming at an emperor no less. Such nerves and savagery didn't come from just anywhere. It was an edge forged in endless bloodshed, and over a mountain of corpses. How could a bone-tempering cultivator wield such experience? The old man gripped Su Jinxing hard, gasping for breath as he gnashed his teeth. City Lord, we give up. You bet with him. Boy, this isn't over. I will get you for taking my 2 feet. Any time. Joie Fan turned towards City Lord. Care to ask, City Lord? The City Lord looked grave. Steward Joie, now I know why you wield a clan's power, having the skills to handle the job. Thanks. Here's my question. The City Lord paused. This is the Nether Sea map. I want to know that if you got the map, how sure are you of finding it? Everyone flinched at the question, focused on the two with rapt attention as they waited for the answer. Fan smiled. I didn't even see the map, so how sure I can be? Like with any treasure map, I'll be doing my best. Is that enough? A perfect answer, since this answer comes from your heart. Take it. The city lord handed the map to Fan, looking over the aged paper. Fan said, just like that? I've yet to ask my question. You're the house, and have the highest chance of winning? Steward Jua's methods opened my eyes. I'm sure I can't answer it anyway. I'll lose, huh? The city lord said. Fan paused and showed a vague smile as he stashed the map in his ring. Thanks. Fan waved and left with his group. Under the hard stares of everyone, their one looked forlorn, stuck between women as she sighed. You won't even look at me once. On the road, Bali Yu looked back to see no one. Smirking, here I thought the map was something special, but we got it easy. Easy, Fan chuckled. Easy meant those people in there wouldn't have bled for it. Didn't you notice how pained the representatives were when taking out the treasures? Since it's so important, why isn't there anyone tailing us? Because it's just a map and not something you can use either. It's common practice of those relics to see the prize before jumping in. After we find the Nether Sea, those bastards are sure to charge, all of them. Fan sneered. The map is no treasure, but a headache. They're all waiting for us to find the real deal before robbing us blind. Even the gambling emperor is no exception. Why do you think he never tried looking for it then? He had the map. I bet he couldn't figure the map out, so he went to find another that can while he lurks from behind. Why then would the other 7 go through such trouble? The other emperors haven't looked over the map, and while they knew it was hard to understand it, they still want to try. Such is greed. If he did unravel it by any chance, wouldn't he get everything? Just like Fan trailed off back then. In 9 Serenities' tomb, he unraveled its mystery. Bali Yu nodded and said, since it's a headache, why did we fight for it? Couldn't we be another lurking shadow instead? Oh, Yu, the shadows are all seasoned and famed geezers. Our Luo clan has yet to make a name for itself in sacred domain. Why hide? We're only using the map to knock on the 8 emperors' doors and enter the fray. Without it, there's no way for us to enter the 8 great lands of the sacred domain. Oh, so that's why. Who do we go to first? The demonic emperor, Zhao Chun. Fan's eyes shone, his smile evil. Chapter 1206, Honey Trap. Chapter 1206, Honey Trap. Proofreader, Papatonks. Fan stood in the center of a pitch-black room. He took out a black sword as his right eye shone in 2 golden halos, divine eye of the void's second stage, void annihilation. Bam! A ripple struck the sword, making it shiver. It then whooshed as it turned into a tan child. Sword Child had regained its freedom. Master, you're letting me out at long last. I was wrong, and it won't happen again. Sword Child bowed on the spot. Fan stared at it with a critical eye. Then where were you wrong? I disrespected my betters and was hard on young Master San. He is Master's godson, and I'm just a sword. It was a clear breach in status and deco dash. Please, how is that your mistake? Fan barked. You see no difference between friend or foe, having no control. You're jealous and reckless. As my sword, you are closest to me. But with young Sanzi as my godson, you wanted to replace him. That's why you taunted him so much, backing him into a corner until you had no other choice than to go for the kill. Tell me I'm wrong. Sword Child was silent. Fan continued. You know that everyone around me is a person I cherish, a comrade and a friend, treating the Sword Kings and Elder Lee's group the same way. I don't want them to feel left out and harbor ill will, leading to conflict. In any society or group, its end is sure to come by wasting all its energy on infighting. The Sword Star Empire fell because of Bailey Jingwei's rampant expansion, leading to 2 groups of Sword Kings forming and clashing. Young Sanzi is one of us. I don't want my sword and my people to be at their throats. Are we clear? Yes, Master. Don't call me Master, but Dad. Dad. Sword Child started. Fan smiled. I told you I don't want infighting, treating everyone as friends. You are born from my path, resembling me the most, and that makes you my son. Since you feel sour about young Sanzi, then I'll take you in as well, treating you both the same. He's your eldest brother, of equal status, and there's no reason to feel jealous. Yes, father, Sword Child beamed, Fan warned. One last thing is my spitting image. You know my standards. Demonic cultivators need not only be demonic, but have principles as well. None of us may ever be allowed to be heavy-handed on our own, regardless of reason. It's no different than smearing your heritage and your ancestors, taking it out on your own people. Remember demon scheming sex, Xia Wuyue? If it were then that I've learned you had the same character as him, I wouldn't have been so light as your grandmaster was. Yes, father. I'll focus on my mentality and achieve Tao like you. I won't let demons take hold of me. Sword Child stood straight as he vowed, nodding. Fan patted his head and sighed. I can only hope. Creak. Bali Yu slipped in. Steward Zhua, someone's here for you. Who else but a distressed damsel? Ching Chung. Fan raised an eyebrow, then nodded. I'll go right now. Fan was practically running, with Bali Yu rolling her eyes. Steward Zhua, when do you plan on stealing that busybody from Ruby Cloud sect? Not now. We're not ready to take on the 8 emperors in the open. Also, Fan smiled. The Ruby Cloud sect is where she grew up. Her heart is still there, and using force is no different than killing her parents. She would hate me forever. Taking it one step at a time is better, starting with winning her heart. Once I ruin their ties, everything else will fall in place. Bali Yu rolled her eyes. How long will that take? I hear she's spoiled in the sect. All the elders favor her, even her master, that crone empress. That's what worries me. Those hags are conniving banshees. Qin Chung has shown nothing extraordinary about her, so how could she have caught their eyes to such a degree? Fan asked in a frown. Speaking of, I had elderly look into Ching Ching's past. Any news? None so far. He said he'll start once we're safe out of Gambling Town. Tell him to do it now. The Gambling Emperors group is watching over the town. No one will try anything under their watch. Fan said, also, with my other son here, safety won't be an issue. Tell him to get on it right away. Fan patted Bali Yu's shoulder and left. She raised an eyebrow, looking oddly at Sword Child. Son? You became a son as well? I can't. You might say that I've been with my father day in and day out, every minute of the hour. Sword Child showed her a toothy grin. Why? Want to be my mommy? Bali Yu flushed and looked away, feeling defeated. Why does he only ever care about her? Fan reached the dazzling lounge, meeting with a hesitant Chu Qing Chung pacing around. Qing Chung, how did you get here? Fan. His voice pulled her away from her worries, and then she hung her head. Her shoulders slumped. Fan knew why. Is something wrong? Fan, just speak your mind. After all, there's no secret between husband and wife, right? How irritating calling me your wife. Chu Qing Chung glared at him with red cheeks, but her sadness returned once more. Fan, I just don't know where to begin. Senior Aunt May wants you to give us the map. Fan's brow shook, giving her a long look. Qing Chung, you're putting me in a difficult position. You're my wife, yes, but the map belongs to my lord. I'm but a steward. Clan head saw greatness in me and took me in as steward. I could never betray his trust by taking what is his. I feel the same. Despite being a steward, you rely on others. Senior Aunt is asking for too much. Chu Qing Chung paused, then gnashed her teeth. Forget it. You don't have to feel bad, Fan. I'll just tell them I failed. It's only going to get me a nagging at most. Chu Qing Chung walked away, but Fan caught her shoulder. Wait, you're saying they're going to fault you for this? Yeah, Senior Aunt won't be hard on me, but my senior sisters will mock and deride me. Chu Qing Chung muttered. He took the forlorn Chu Qing Chung into his arms and said, My poor Qing Chung, my dear wife, what did you do to suffer so? Why don't you leave Ruby Cloud sect and live with me? How could I? Master and Senior Aunts are so nice to me. I could take a bit of scolding. I could never betray them. Fan knew this was coming and faked difficulty. While I can't give them the map, as long as they'll give you to me, I'll have them take a look at it. I'll have you know I'm an established painter. Give me to you? Yeah, just mention it to them. It's their problem if they agree or not. It won't have anything to do with you, and they won't scold you. Joie Fan snickered, holding her close and cooing. Dear wife, I'm not saying that to demean you, only thinking of being together again. I would give anything for us to live together. Chu Ching Chang smiled, swooning. But then she scrutinized him. All right, but how did you cut Elder Lu's legs on the betting stage? You're not an emperor, but a bone-tempering cultivator, I know. You must all be disgusted with me. No. Ever since then, Senior Aunt may change her opinion of you. How did you do it? Simple, really. Joie Fan snickered. Speed, ferocity, and accuracy. He was just ahead of me and complacent in his victory. I just needed something sharp enough, and the result was clear to all. Not even a saint could escape from that. That can't be it. Senior Aunt said that a sword so fast could only be polished through mountains of corpses. How can you, at the bone-tempering stage? I'll be honest with you. I used to be a butcher. Joie Fan chuckled. Millions of pigs must have crossed these hands. Isn't that a mountain of corpses? Your Senior Aunt has good eyes. Ha ha ha. Chu Ching Chang nodded and exclaimed, I see. Only there's a big difference between a murderer and a butcher. About the same. Just look at people as pigs to the slaughter. You've been gone for quite a while now. Should you head back? Tell them what I said, and maybe we'll seal the knot. I'll become the mighty son-in-law of Ruby Cloud's sect. Ha ha. Annoying. Joie Fan urged Chu Ching Chang to leave, flirting while at it. Chu Ching Chang didn't mind it, just replying in good humor. Seeing her go, Joie Fan's face fell, gripping his fists. Rotten Ruby Cloud sect, trying to honey trap me with Ching Ching? What do you take my wife for? Bastards. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.